On my way, Cole called out. A call from the FCC patched through to the front desk, usually meant official business, but nothing too urgent. If it were a complaint, Yvonne would have burst in herself. "Brother, get up," Luna whispered, her voice as soft as a breath as she shyly patted his hand. "Yeah, okay," Cole agreed, but his actions said the exact opposite. Luna sighed, biting her lower lip as she remained seated in the CEO's chair. A moment later, Yvonne knocked again. "Mr. Chun, call them back ASAP." "All right, coming." This time, there was no getting out of it. Cole reluctantly abandoned his calisthenics. It was hard to get a good workout in at the office with so many interruptions. When a company reached this size, the number of trivial matters multiplied. There were things you had to cooperate on, and when it came to the FCC, you didn't just cooperate, you did it perfectly. His precious little CFO scrambled to her feet. Today, she was wearing a long-sleeve, coffee-colored knit sweater with a long, khaki-colored pleated skirt. Underneath, she had on a pair of nude-colored leggings, but one leg was still rumpled and bunched up. It was a clear sign of a rushed dressing. After smoothing her clothes for a moment and confirming her skirt and sweater were in order, she blew him a kiss and slipped out the door, heading back to the finance department next door. 2 minutes later, Yvonne walked in, a small slip of paper in her hand. "Call this number." The director at the FCC switched to a new landline. She placed a note on his desk and sniffed the air. "What does that smell?" Her eyes scanned the room and landed on the wastebasket, which was filled with used tissues. Her gaze froze. Yvonne, what are you doing?" Cole asked, a little embarrassed that she was staring at his trash. "Mr. Chin, what were you doing?" Yvonne glanced from the trash can back to Cole, a knowing look in her eye. "Working. What else would I be doing?" "You're awfully nosy," Cole said, his face a mask of nonchalance. "Humph. You degenerate king," Yvonne muttered under her breath. "What?" Cole didn't quite hear her. "Nothing. I said you should call them back quickly." She shot one last look at the wastebasket before turning to leave, her walk even more of a deliberate catwalk than usual. The black tights under her gray business skirt hugged her slender legs, swaying mesmerizingly as she walked away. Cole watched her for a second before forcing his gaze down. Time to focus on work. His fighting spirit surged anew. He'd have to have a serious talk with his little CFO about financial matters tonight. He dialed the number for the FCC. A familiar voice answered. "Hello, who's speaking?" "Director Liu, it's Cole Chun." "Oh, Cole, right? The FCC is running a featured influencer spotlight, and we need you to recommend a top creator from your platform. We can send a team over this afternoon." "Of course, Director. Don't worry, I'll arrange it right now." "Good. And be aware, we'll be conducting a major sweep for indecent content online early next year. Headline today needs to ensure its content is clean." "Thank you for the heads up, Director. I'll personally make sure our content standards are impeccable." "All right, that's all." Hanging up, Cole felt a wave of gratitude. Having the government on your side made things so much easier. You always had a friendly warning. That afternoon, a team from the FCC arrived at Headline Today to interview the influencer Amy. The topic was being a good netizen. Amy was well prepared, speaking eloquently about taking personal responsibility, respecting legal boundaries, and doing things online that earned a like. Similar interviews were being conducted on other platforms like Twitter with their own top influencers. It was proof that Headline Today's influence had reached a national level. As the workday was ending, Cole walked to the entrance of the finance department. "Luna, you're leaving with me. We need to go over a few things." "Okay, Mr. Chun," Luna said, trying to keep her expression neutral, but her heart was a flutter of shyness, happiness, and a little bit of anxiety. "What about what Jasmine warned me about?" She thought, "Tonight, I can only let him have his way once. Not too many times." But she was afraid she wouldn't be able to control herself. She preferred being at home to the office, but if her brother insisted, she couldn't refuse. They had dinner together, then went for a walk. Cole always made time to walk with his 3 girls just to relax and chat. They loved it, too. When they were out, Jasmine liked to link her arm through his, occasionally hopping on his back. Serena preferred to hold his hand, though she'd also jump on his back from time to time. Luna, however, stuck to her favorite position, holding his hand while also wrapping an arm around his waist, their bodies pressed close together. It was inconvenient for walking, but she insisted, and that's how she was now, nestled in Cole's embrace, feeling completely safe regardless of the crowds around them. When the sidewalk got packed, Cole would pull her in even tighter, and the feeling of security was absolute. They walked for about an hour and didn't buy a single thing, but Luna was ecstatic. The time they had alone was what satisfied her most. Back at the Golden Bay residences, while Cole was on the phone with his family, she showered and shyly changed into the bunny costume. A short white tail, tall rabbit ears, and a black one-piece bodysuit, complete with a pair of gray thigh-high stockings. Once changed, she dove under the covers, leaving only a pair of timid eyes peeking out. When Cole came back from his call, his eyes landed on her, and a fire ignited within him. Impatient, he washed up in a flash. "Luna, let's discuss our work." "Brother." From the bedroom, Luna's soft, girlish voice drifted out, a chaotic chorus of endearments. Sometimes it was "my dear brother," other times "naughty brother." Sometimes "no, brother," and other times "I love you, brother." The titles were endless. Cole responded with his own chaotic murmurs. The little CFO was the most resilient. She could stay silent for ages. But at home, it was different. She was much more relaxed, letting out sounds when she needed to. The one who had the least control over her voice was the campus beauty, Serena. Jasmine was somewhere in the middle. She could be quiet or loud, entirely at her own discretion. The next morning, Luna woke up feeling refreshed and full of energy. Last night, she had begged for his self-discipline. She leaned over and planted a loud kiss on Cole's still sleeping face. Just as she finished getting ready, her phone vibrated. She glanced at the screen and saw an unfamiliar number with a West Virginia area code. She immediately guessed it was either Brenda Raymond or her brother. After a moment's thought, she stepped out onto the balcony to answer. Better to face it head on. Not answering would just make it seem like she was afraid. "Hello. Sis, you have to save us." It was Jay, his voice choked with tears. "State your business. Don't waste my time with anything else," Luna said, her tone calm. "Sis, Mom and I are having such a hard time. Can you please help us?" Even without seeing him, Luna could picture Jay, a blubbering mess of snot and tears. She reminded him, "Get to the point. I have class soon, and I have to be at the office this afternoon. I'm busy." "Sis, we're renting now. We sold the house, sold the car. We have nothing left, sis." Jay continued his sob story. Luna's patience was wearing thin. What did selling their house and car have to do with her? They were still alive, weren't they? "If you don't get to the point, I'm hanging up." "Don't, sis. It's just, could you lend us some money? We really can't live like this anymore. We have to take the subway and the bus just to get anywhere." "I don't have any money," Luna replied flatly. "Sis, you can't just leave us to die. I know you have money. They say you're the vice president of finance at Headline Today, that you make hundreds of thousands a year." Jay grew frantic, his voice filled with a desperate hunger for a handout. "I don't have a dime. Now, I'm hanging up." Luna started to end the call. "Sis," Jay shouted. "Mom has cancer." Luna's hand froze. She remained silent. "Sis, Mom has cancer, but she didn't want to tell you. I just want to borrow some money so she can live a little more comfortably." Jay's voice cracked with a sob, sounding utterly heartbroken. "Stop," Luna snapped, her face hardening. For a second, she had been moved. But the moment he said that, she knew he was lying. Her voice turned cold. "If you told me you had cancer, I might believe you. But if you tell me she didn't want you to tell me, I wouldn't believe you if my life depended on it. And borrowing money to make her more comfortable? Do you take me for an idiot? Jay, let me tell you something. I have nothing to do with you two. It doesn't matter how much money I have. It has nothing to do with you. Did you forget what my boyfriend told you?" Jay suddenly went quiet. It sounded like the phone was being muffled, and she could hear faint whispers in the background. Luna didn't care. She continued. "So you don't have a house or a car anymore? Does that mean you can't live? Go get a job. Earn money through your own hard work. Don't expect someone else to hand you a comfortable life. Jay, you've had your fun. It's time for you to live like a normal person." After some discussion on the other end, he finally spoke again. "Sis, I was wrong. I shouldn't have lied. I can work. Sis, can you please just do me a favor? A small favor. I know you can do it if you just ask." "I can't help you." Luna refused without a second thought. It had to be an unreasonable request, and it probably involved her boyfriend. "Sis, I'm begging you. It's a really, really small favor." Jay started crying again. Before Luna could speak, he rushed on. "Just ask your brother-in-law to open a branch office here. If you ask, he'll definitely do it. Everyone says you're his most trusted confidant." "Who is everyone?" Luna asked, her face like ice. "Just some friends," Jay stammered. "And after he opens an office?" Luna asked deliberately. "Then," Jay trailed off, as if he were too embarrassed to say it. "Then you get to be the manager, right?" A smirk, an expression Luna rarely wore, touched her lips. What saddened her was that her own blood-related brother could be so delusional. Yes, sis. I know this area really well. I'd definitely be a great manager. I could bring in a lot of advertising for Headline Today," Jay vowed. "And then you take kickbacks and build a headquarters for fake referrals, right? File fraudulent expense reports? Secretly sign influencers and play around with naive girls who want to be famous. Luna's anger flared. He was beyond saving. Sis, I really want to work hard. Don't even think about it. Go do something you're actually capable of, and don't call me again. If you do, my boyfriend will be the one to answer. Sis, all you talk about is your boyfriend. You won't even help your own brother. What kind of man is he? A wave of fury washed over Luna, and she was about to scream, "Shut up," when a hand gently patted her shoulder. Give me the phone. Cole had woken up a few moments ago. Hearing Luna's side of the conversation, he had pieced together the rest. Now was the time to intervene. Some things were best said by Luna, but other things were best handled by him. It all depended on what Luna truly wanted. He also wanted to nurture a firm and composed mindset in her. Luna immediately handed him the phone and planted a kiss on his cheek. "Sorry, brother, did I wake you?" she whispered. "It's fine. I needed to get up anyway." Cole wrapped his arm around her slim waist, then held the phone to his ear. "I told you not to contact her for 3 years. How long has it been? You don't listen, do you? Brother-in-law." Jay was too scared to speak. Cole's gaze was as calm as still water. "Don't call again. The 3 years starts over for now. After 3 years, if you want to get in touch, I won't stop you. 3 years isn't enough to pay back the suffering Luna went through, but I'm considering the 9 years you spent together and don't want to push you to a dead end. But if you get any ideas you shouldn't, don't blame me for what happens." The other end was silent. "Forget this number for the next 3 years. That's all." Cole hung up. He gave Luna's waist a gentle squeeze and asked softly, "Are you mad at me for saying that?" "No, you're my man. You can say whatever you want." Luna threw her arms around Cole's neck, kissing his face again and again. On one side was the man who loved and protected her. On the other were the people who had abandoned her. The choice was obvious. After that call, her mindset shifted subtly. Before, she had held on to some lingering affection for her biological mother and brother. After all, they had been together until she was 9. The memories were faint, but they were there. Now, she was completely disappointed. To this day, they were still trying to take from her. They even dared to scheme against her man's company. All they thought about was how to harm her and the man she loved. It was incomprehensible. "All right, let me get ready. We'll go get breakfast. Then I'll take you to school," Cole said with a smile, feeling a deep sense of relief. Luna was his financial czar. She had to be decisive, sharp, and meticulous. She couldn't afford to be indecisive. Cole had expected a call from them eventually. He just hadn't known how Luna would handle it. Now, he was more than satisfied. "Brother, I'll keep you company while you brush your teeth," Luna said, her eyes filled with a deep sense of attachment. They went to the bathroom together. Cole stood brushing his teeth while Luna knelt beside him. When he was done, she had him sit on the sofa and, blushing, she proactively gave him her daily work report. "Brother, according to my calendar, my period is due tomorrow, so today is safe. Don't get distracted when we're talking about work." Cole's spirit rallied, and he delivered a stern critique. Luna humbly accepted his feedback. A reminder from Jasmine flashed through her mind. Next time then. Meanwhile, in the state capital of West Virginia, inside a private room at a barbecue joint. "I told you he wouldn't agree," Jay said dejectedly. A few other men were sitting with him, some in their 20s, others in their 30s. They were all his freeloading friends. "Your so-called brother-in-law is useless," a guy with bleach blonde hair sneered. "It was never going to work. What was I supposed to do?" "Ugh, I don't want to talk about it." Jay's eyes darted around. He had thought about calling, but had managed to resist. But after being goaded by these friends, he'd made a mistake. The 3-year clock had reset. The thought of it was infuriating. "It just means your cheap brother-in-law doesn't even care about your sister," the man in his 30s said dismissively. "You're wrong about that. My brother-in-law is amazing to my sister. Do you have any idea what being a VP of finance means?" Jay couldn't stand the insult. He didn't mind being yelled at by his sister, but he couldn't lose face. "Then make your brother-in-law open an office here. If you can't, then stop bragging," the blonde kid taunted. "I can't." Jay shook his head. "Then we're done talking. Go get a job, you useless piece of crap." The older man stood up and waved his hand. "Let's go, guys. Someone here isn't qualified to hang with us anymore." The other men stood up and started to walk out. The older man turned back with a smirk. "If you can convince your sister, we're still friends." Then he walked out without a second glance. Jay's face was ashen. He sat frozen, his emotions in turmoil. Over the past 2 months, he had seen the cold reality of human nature. At first, he had resented his sister for ignoring him, for being so heartless. But gradually, that resentment faded, and he was a little afraid of his brother-in-law. He had no fight left in him. After a while, a waiter came over. "Excuse me, sir. It's time to pay the bill." "What? They didn't pay?" "They were supposed to pay. Jay said, stunned. They had promised to treat him to dinner. How could they do this? No, sir. They said you were paying, the waiter said, a look of pity in his eyes. I. Jay's face burned with humiliation. He only had $100 on him. The bill, with drinks, had to be at least $500 or $600. Under the waiter's disdainful gaze, he mumbled, Can I put on a tab? I'll pay next time. No, sir. 10 minutes later, Jay walked out of the barbecue joint. His iPhone was gone. In that moment, he thought about many things. He even thought about his sister, facing the world all alone. After walking for a while, he squatted down on the curb, covered his face with his hands, and began to sob. On the first day of December, the temperature plummeted. The wind blowing in from the north was damp and cold, stinging any exposed skin like 1,000 icy needles. The streets were a sea of down jackets. Inside the Headline Today office, however, the central heating kept the temperature at a comfortable 70 degrees. In the afternoon, Cole held a meeting for all executives at the director level and above. Excluding the heads of the branch offices, more than 30 long-term employees filled the conference room. This was just a Headline Today team. The agenda had only 3 points. First, to wrap up the year's work and discuss the performance of each department. Second, to announce the upcoming annual gala and inform every department they needed to prepare a performance. Third, to announce that there would be awards distributed at the gala. Around 5:30 p.m., the meeting concluded. The executives were buzzing with excitement. This was Headline Today's first ever annual gala, and there were prizes to be won. Just as they were about to leave the conference room, a massive boom echoed from outside. The entire building shook. The women in the room screamed in terror. Instinctively, the 3 girls, Serena, Jasmine, and Luna, rushed to Cole's side. Yvonne hesitated for half a second before darting over as well. It's okay. Everyone stay calm, Cole said, quickly trying to reassure them. The sound had come from outside, maybe 2 or 3 miles away. It was an explosion. The force of it vibrated deep in your chest, and it had startled him, too. Employees flocked to the floor-to-ceiling windows to look outside, but they were facing the wrong direction. They scurried across the hallway to the windows on the other side. What was that? A gas explosion, maybe? That was terrifying. I wonder where it happened. Imagine being right there. How awful. A few moments later, the sound of multiple sirens filled the air. Cole also stood at the window, gazing into the distance. A fuzzy memory tickled the back of his mind, but he couldn't quite grasp it. Soon, a post appeared on Headline Today. Shocking. Explosion in front of the Bank of America on Harrison Street. 2 dead, multiple injured. It came with a photo. The scene was chaotic. The bank's glass facade was completely shattered. Seeing the news, Cole finally remembered. This was a major event in Rockford. It wasn't a gas leak. It was a man-made bomb. The original plan had been to rob an armored truck. The guy failed to rob the truck and ended up injuring himself in the blast. Cole only remembered that he was caught in a hospital, but the official reports never said which one, so he didn't know the details. His first thought was to control the narrative. He couldn't let speculation run wild on Headline Today. He immediately sent out a notice to all departments. At everyone. 1. All videos related to the bombing are to have their reach on the main feed limited. 2. The review team needs to process all related user reports in the backend promptly. 3. There is no need to proactively block the videos. Headline Today is a media platform, not a judge. Please be aware of this. A flood of received replies appeared below the notice. In a critical moment like this, Headline Today's political neutrality was paramount. There was no need to play hero, as long as they took an active role in preventing the spread of rumors. The next day, Cole received a message from Megan, the supervisor at the Tea Alchemist. Mr. Chun, our supervisor, Megan, was injured. She was passing by during the explosion yesterday and got cut by flying glass. I just got a call from her. Cole's heart sank. He immediately replied, How is she? Is it serious? Where is she being treated? Mercy West General Hospital. Okay. Have the administrative department file it as a work-related injury. I'm on my way to see her now. Megan was one of his original employees. He had to show he cared. As he thought about it, an idea to promote Headline Today once again sparked in his mind. He called Jasmine and Whitney, telling Whitney to bring a cameraman. In the inpatient ward at Mercy West, they found Megan. Boss, what are you doing here? Megan said in surprise, trying to sit up. No. Stay down. Where are you hurt? Is it bad? Cole quickly stopped her. Jasmine and the others placed the flowers and fruit they had brought on the bedside table. I was lucky. It only got my thigh, Megan said, her face pale with lingering fear. You just focus on getting better. This whole time will be paid sick leave, Cole said, relieved. She was one of his first employees from the tea shop days. He really didn't want anything to happen to her. Thank you, boss. Megan's face filled with gratitude, her eyes welling up. She hadn't seen Cole in a long time. Even though they were close by, it was hard to run into him on campus. Now that he was a major CEO, she felt the distance between them growing. She figured she would rarely see him in the future. She never expected that the moment she got hurt, he would come to see her. Her parents and brother were back home, and her father was on his way now. She was all alone at the hospital. You're one of the people who helped me start this whole thing. Of course I'd come, Cole said gently. He looked around the hospital room and asked, Your boyfriend didn't come? We broke up a little while ago, Megan said with a bitter smile. Her second boyfriend had been fine at first, but as her income grew, he became dependent on her. He quit his part-time job. Her entire monthly salary was spent on him. A new computer, a new phone, eating out, movies. Their trip over fall break was paid for entirely by her. After they got back, she discovered he was flirting with other girls on Facebook Messenger. They had broken up but hadn't completely cut contact. Her ex had been constantly apologizing, begging her to get back together. The day of the explosion, she had just met with him near that bank, and they'd had another fight. She glanced at the young man with the camera, then looked at Cole inquisitively. Boss, what's this for? Getting your revenge, Cole said with a smile. Whitney is going to interview you in a bit. You just need to talk about how scared you were. Oh, okay. Megan didn't quite understand how that was revenge. Seeing her confusion, Cole explained, First, we interview you. Then, I'm going to issue a reward. If we catch the criminal, isn't that revenge? Boss, that's too much money. It's okay. Let the police handle it, Megan said, waving her hands in protest, though her heart was deeply moved. The reward is happening. I can't let you get hurt and do nothing, especially since you're my number 3 employee, Cole said sternly. Megan was hired right after Wendy, making her his bona fide 3rd employee. He continued, Once you've recovered, take some time to think about your career path. If you want to come a headline today, just let me know. You can also stay at the Tea Alchemist if you prefer. Megan was an English major. She would be a good fit for the editorial or marketing departments. But she had been so focused on her relationships before that she didn't have much professional ambition. Cole hadn't pushed it. Thank you, boss. I'll think about it seriously, Megan said, tears streaming down her face. Her boss truly cared about her. If loyalty could be measured on a scale of 100, hers just shot up to 120. After the interview, Cole had Whitney head back to edit the footage. He would record his own statement when he got back to the office. Jasmine stayed and chatted with Megan for a while, making sure she had everything she needed to eat and drink. On the drive back, Jasmine was quiet, looking like she wanted to say something. After a few minutes, she couldn't hold it in anymore. Cole, can I ask you a question? And you can't get mad. You think I'm putting on a show, don't you? Cole asked, his eyes on the road, the corners of his mouth turning up slightly. A little bit, but you promised not to get mad, Jasmine said, her voice soft. She was afraid her questioning would upset him. She was worried that his actions might backfire and give people ammunition against him. And besides, the police had already offered a reward. For the company to offer another one seemed wasteful. I'm not mad. Sis, it's normal for you to think that. Because I'm putting on a show, Cole admitted freely. Huh, you really are. Jasmine was surprised. She thought he would at least try to sugarcoat it. Yes, I am, Cole nodded. Well, is this show really necessary? Jasmine didn't immediately object. She wanted to understand his reasoning. I believe it's absolutely necessary. A confident smile played on Cole's lips. He knew Jasmine was worried he'd give his critics something to latch onto. He explained further, we have to expand our influence quickly and build a positive impression with the public. Headline Today isn't just for news and entertainment. It has a social responsibility and a duty of care to its employees. I am definitely putting on a bit of show, but that doesn't conflict with my concern for Megan. It also doesn't conflict with expressing our social responsibility. The 3 can coexist. If it's an opportunity for publicity, why not use it? As long as I'm putting up real money, no one can say anything. The authorities will definitely be happy to see it. Okay, but you still need to be careful about people on Twitter using this against you, Jasmine advised, her tone exceptionally gentle, afraid he would feel his authority was being challenged. A strange light flickered in her eyes. Cole had always been mature, but this was the first time she had seen this side of him, completely detached from emotion. It was a stark contrast to the cheeky, lecherous, and playful boy she knew. The coolness in his eyes was like that of a seasoned, ruthless man who had seen it all. It was filled with a desire to conquer. Seeing this quality in her familiar, precious Cole was incredibly captivating. A sudden heat bloomed in her chest. Sis, what's wrong? While waiting a red light, Cole noticed Jasmine staring at him blankly. Nothing. Jasmine's face flushed, and she quickly looked out the window. She had just been imagining something unspeakable. Her heart was fluttering, warm and restless. Normally, she wouldn't have such thoughts unless he was teasing her. A wave of embarrassment washed over her. Cole, focused on the notoriously unpredictable Rockford traffic, didn't pay much attention. Pedestrians and e-scooters could appear out of nowhere, and other drivers treated every gap as an invitation. He rarely took his eyes off the road when driving. He dropped Jasmine off at campus for her management class. Back at the office, Cole immediately summoned Yvonne. Yvonne, contact the Rockford Police Department. Tell them a headline today, employee was an innocent victim in this incident, and I want to offer a $10,000 reward to help capture the suspect. Also, I want the reward to be presented with the RPD as witnesses to prove it's real. Just call me Yvonne. Calling me Ms. Wong is so awkward. It makes me sound like some bald old man. I don't like it. Yvonne protested coquettishly. She habitually perched on the edge of his desk, one leg dangling, her thigh resting on the polished wood. Not very ladylike at all. She had closed the door when she came in, unafraid of being seen. Even if someone saw, she didn't care. Well, if those three walked in, she'd be a little scared. Scared they'd find a way to make her life difficult. A woman's jealousy was a terrifying thing. Cole ignored her posture, too tired to correct her. It wouldn't do any good anyway, and he couldn't exactly punish her. He cherished this formidable general of his. Yvonne could already handle many important matters independently, holding her own against executives from major corporations. She had saved him a lot of trouble. She was even training subordinates in her own aggressive style. The Business Development Center was no longer the scrappy street team it once was. It was now a vital department responsible for major commercial operations. So a little arrogance from his top VP was fine. In fact, Cole deliberately cultivated her assertive presence. Sitting on the CEO's desk was a minor offense. As long as she delivered, he'd be willing to have a butt-shaped indent carved into the desk just for her. However, wasting time on a name was unforgivable. Cole shot her a look. Just go make the call. I'll call you whatever I want. Then call me Yvonne, she said, turning her head away in a gesture of stubborn defiance. Later. Go now. Cole gave her a light push on the waist, nudging her off the desk. Rude. Yvonne clutched her side, her eyes filled with a mixture of indignation and grievance. She walked towards the door. The moment she turned, the corners of her lips curled into an unstoppable smile. Oh my God, he finally touched me. Her mood soared, and her steps became lighter. The click-clack of her heels echoed on the tiled floor. The employees didn't even have to look up to know who was coming. No one protested, nor did they dare. This VP had a temper. When the other three VPs weren't around, she was the supreme ruler of the office universe. Only Wyatt, the head of R&D with his ever-receding hairline, was her equal. Yvonne returned to her own office and sank comfortably into her leather chair. Her office was huge, second only to Cole's, and fully equipped. There were always fresh flowers. The floor-to-ceiling windows offered an unobstructed view. In that respect, even Cole couldn't compare. A pity. It was so far from his office. If only it were next door. But alas, next door was Luna's. Thinking of the three of them, she had no fight left in her. Jasmine was truly generous. She had been the one to arrange this new office for her. Serena and Luna were poised and gracious, always speaking to employees with sincerity and respect. In contrast, Yvonne could throw a fit whenever she wanted. Besides Lin Fan, she was the only one who could act so willfully. In this, she had to admire the three goddesses. Their tolerance was immense. The communication with the police department went smoothly. They agreed that if a tip led to the capture, the reward could be presented at the station. It had subtly mentioned that he could have contacted them sooner. Yvonne, her steps now positively jaunty, returned to Cole's office. It's all set, Mr. Chung. You can record the video now. Good. Cole had expected them to agree. His publicity budget was more than just the $10,000 for the reward. He also planned to offer condolences to the families of the two deceased bystanders and the other injured victims. You either did it right or you didn't do it at all. Using the fact that his own employee was injured as a pretext to express concern and condemn the vicious attack was a perfectly legitimate move. Half an hour later, the official Headline Today account released a video. Founder and CEO Cole Chun addressed the camera. In the vicious attack that occurred on December 1st, an employee of our company was among the injured bystanders. I am outraged by this heinous act and deeply saddened for the innocent people who were killed and injured. I have decided to offer a $10,000 cash reward to the person whose information leads to the capture of the suspect. This reward will be presented under the witness of the Rockford Police Department and is guaranteed to be real and effective. With a push from the back-end algorithm, the video quickly went viral and was reposted by countless influencers, big and small. The official Rockford Police Department Twitter account, @RockfordPD, retweeted it. The video instantly caused a sensation online. It was proof that the reward was real. The news hit especially hard in Rockford itself. Everyone was fired up. Combined with the police's own $10,000 reward, finding the guy meant a $20,000 payday. On December 7th, the police released a photo of the suspect. They had locked down the city on the 1st, but the man still hadn't been caught. Cole wasn't worried. He knew the suspect would be caught soon. He had forgotten the specific hospital because he remembers details like that. History followed its original course. On December 16th, the suspect, a man named Keith Miller, was apprehended. The location was the Rockford Military Medical Center. The tip came from 2 nurses. According to Miller's confession, with the city on lockdown, he couldn't even check into a motel. Thinking the most dangerous place was the safest, he went to the military hospital to warm up. The most ironic part was that he had been a patient there a few months prior and had skipped out on a bill of several $1,000s. That fact became his undoing. The 2 nurses remembered him vividly and recognized him immediately. His motive was simple. He was trying to copy the plot of a gritty action movie and rob an armored truck. He was a tech school graduate who repaired air conditioners for a living and had a hobby in chemistry. He had even blown his own lip apart while making the bomb. On the day of the crime, his 2 accomplices bailed on him, so he went ahead alone. He botched the job. The armored truck was fine, but he killed 2 innocent bystanders. One was a 20-year-old girl in the prime of her life. A total of 15 people were injured. 2 were permanently disabled, and another girl's face was disfigured. Leaders from the state police and the Rockford Police Department went to the hospital to commend the 2 nurses who had reported him. Cole brought his team and went with them. In front of everyone, he presented the 2 nurses with the $10,000 reward in cash. Whitney and her camera crew recorded everything. They also filmed the police officials commending the nurses. It was all headline news, and it was exclusive. Cole also got to meet the heads of the state police and the RPD. His righteous demeanor and humble, polite attitude earned their unanimous praise. Next, Cole went to the morgue to offer condolences to the families of the deceased, donating $10,000 to each. His reasoning was, a company employee was among the injured, and he was furious. The grieving families were incredibly grateful. Cole then visited the various hospitals to see the injured, giving different donation amounts based on the severity of their injuries. The entire process was filmed. The injured were willing to cooperate. The city government was already covering their medical bills. Now, they had extra support, and the emotional trauma was slightly easier to bear. For the 2 who were disabled and the girl who was disfigured, no amount of money could immediately heal their wounds, but Cole gave each of them $5,000. The donation tour was published not only on Headline Today's official account, but also from the perspectives of bystanders. A dedicated account also posted the content to Twitter. It immediately sparked a heated discussion online. Headline Today's CEO is full of righteous energy. Now that's a real entrepreneur. Look at all the other companies. Have they said a word? Not a damn peep. Cole Chun is a class act. Cole Chun is a badass. I support you, Mr. Chun. The vast majority of comments were positive, but there were also some negative, passive-aggressive ones. So well spoken. Aren't you just promoting yourself? If you were a real philanthropist, you'd cover their living expenses for the rest of their lives. Then I'd respect you. Hypocrite. It's all for show. The moment the cameras are off, he takes the money back. Several major influencers on Twitter also chimed in with snarky comments. The VP of a rival social network, Campus Connect, publicly attacked him, saying he despised this kind of clout chasing. Cole didn't even need to organize a counterattack. Countless netizens did it for him. Why don't you go chase some clout? No one's stopping you. You could go promote yourself too. Just put your money where your mouth is instead of just flapping your gums. The state police were there. The money was handed over in person. If you can't see that, go get your eyes checked. Every snarky comment was met with a flood of replies. Cole read them and smiled, giving a thumbs up to his supporters. Good brothers, good sisters, good aunts. He opened his messaging app and sent a text to Yvonne. Come film a video for me. When Yvonne received the message, she rushed to Cole's office. With the 3 goddesses out, she was the only one who could help. The other 2 VPs were busy. Fiona was also an author, and Whitney was constantly in training or discussing plans with her departments. Yvonne's heels clicked against the floor as she half ran over, feeling a special kind of joy. The best part of her day was always running to Cole's office. What kind of video, Mr. Chun? She almost called him by his first name. There's some negativity online. I want to share my thoughts. Cole stood up and straightened his collar. Let's start. Okay. Yvonne opened her phone's camera. Cole looked at the lens, his expression turning serious. His gaze was focused, steady, and filled with a sense of justice. Over the past 2 days, there's been a lot of talk online about headline today's visit to the injured. My intention was to condemn this vicious attack and express my condolences to the innocent victims. As a student at Eastwood, as a business in Rockford, I believe I have the right to do so. I am no different from all the volunteers and aid workers. Yvonne listened quietly, her eyes filled with the sight of this man. She was, once again, revising her understanding of him. He was shameless, but he got things done. Her previous impression of him was mature, steady, and visionary. A man of endless creativity who always guided Headline Today in the right direction. Besides being a bit of a greedy lecher, he had no other flaws. Now, she had to add another one to the list. A completely rational marketer. He seemed emotional, but was in fact detached. He seemed detached, yet he showed genuine emotion. Emotional and emotionless coexisted perfectly within him. His expressions switched in a flash, and you couldn't tell if they were real or fake. Or perhaps they were both real and fake at the same time. He spoke righteous words that represented his own cold calculations. His overall behavior was shameless, but the money he gave was not an act. Yvonne watched, mesmerized. If before she had merely admired him more and more, at this moment, she felt a sense of being completely dominated. Cole wasn't even 20 yet, but his composure and mindset were something many men in their 30s lacked. Those young eyes were as deep as an ancient well, as if they were about to swallow her whole. He didn't need to swallow. She had already fallen in. All she wanted was to obey his every command. Yvonne, what are you doing? I've said that's a wrap 3 times. Cole frowned, looking annoyed. Had his top VP gone into a trance? She had been holding up the phone for ages without moving. Huh? Oh, we're done. Yvonne snapped out of it, fumbling to stop the recording. Her face felt a little hot, but her light makeup hid the blush. Post it from my personal account, Cole said, shedding the righteous avenger expression. He sat back in his chair and let out a light breath. Oh, okay. Yvonne's heart was pounding. She left without another word. Instead of going back to her office, she hurried to the restroom. Cole's statement kicked up another small storm online. Countless supporters flocked to his account to leave comments. His account only had 2 posts, but his follower count had somehow reached over 3 million. 90% of them were women, spanning all age groups, from 18-year-old students to 50-year-old mothers. Only Yvonne, the account's administrator, knew the true extent of Cole's popularity. That night, Yvonne couldn't fall asleep until very late. She was deep in a dream when she felt a tapping on her arm. She startled awake. The dorm room light was on. Her roommate was standing by her bed, complaining, Yvonne, you seriously need to get a boyfriend. What? Yvonne was still groggy. What? Look at yourself. Her roommate gestured disdainfully with her chin. Yvonne tilted her head up to look. Good heavens. No wonder her sleeping position felt so strange. She was mortified, silently blaming Cole for it all. On the surface, she feigned composure. I was just having a dream. I dreamed I was riding a bike backwards, went up a cliff, and then flew off. It was terrifying. Whatever helps you sleep at night. I don't care, her roommate said, shaking her head as she returned to her own bed. I'm just going to the bathroom. I'll turn off the light in a minute. Yvonne threw off the covers and got out of bed, incredibly grateful that there were only the 2 of them in the dorm now. The others had all left for internships. Otherwise, this would have been a major embarrassment. Yeah, go on. I know you need to, her roommate said, ruthlessly calling her out. Just as Yvonne stepped into the bathroom, she heard her roommate's voice again. Seriously, find a man. This isn't healthy. Yvonne's foot slipped, and she nearly fell. She wanted to. She dreamed about it. But the man of her dreams wasn't interested. He never even drank. There wasn't a single opportunity. If she didn't know the truth, people would think Cole was some kind of celibate monk. The warm water soothed her nerves. The moment she closed her eyes, the dream returned. The man was gentle yet cold, like a king, ruthlessly commanding her to obey. His deep, dark eyes made her soul tremble. The next morning, Cole called another meeting. All VPs were to attend, including the ones from Slice Video. More people made it livelier. He also invited the invisible director Spencer had sent over. Since it concerned operating costs, Spencer's representative ought to know. The director was a woman in her late 20s who had initially tried to assert some authority. Slice Video was soaring, with profits exploding. Naturally, she had ambitions. The CEO, Jenna, was soft-spoken, but she was backed by Cole. After a few failed attempts to test the waters, Cole had told the director plainly, either be an invisible set of eyes or leave. She had behaved herself since. The pay was better here, and there was no pressure. The meeting's topic, discussing the annual gala awards for everyone below the VP level. As for the VPs, Cole had already decided on their bonuses. After an hour of discussion, they unanimously agreed to give cash. It had more impact. They also finalized the prizes for the raffle. This was headlined today's first gala, and it was a joint event with Slice Video, so Cole was taking the lead. In the future, it would be handled by HR and the events department. He would only need to see the results, sign off, give a speech, and hand out awards. After the meeting, the three girls didn't leave. They followed Cole into his office and sat down on the sofa. "Sis, do I really have to? Can't we just have each department do a performance?" Cole asked with an awkward laugh. The only dancing he knew was the kind you did to get a crowd hyped up. "It's necessary. This is our first annual gala. It's a landmark event. We need to create a historical moment for Headline Today and Slice Video," Jasmine said, her expression serious. "Yeah, Cole, you have to dance too. With us." Serena chimed in, her voice sweet. "That's right, brother. We all agree you have to participate. You can't just be a spectator," Luna added with a firm nod. When the door was closed, the three of them called him whatever they wanted. When others were present, it was always Mr. Chun. Even the strict Jasmine had tacitly approved of this. "I don't know how to do any real dances," Cole said, looking troubled. "You mean you only know how to do improper ones? Where did you learn that?" Jasmine narrowed her beautiful eyes. "No, sis, that's not what I mean. I mean, when I dance, it's just a mess. It doesn't look good," Cole said, his heart skipping a beat as he rushed to explain. He made a firm decision. He absolutely could not start shaking his ass like he used to in his past life. "You can learn. We picked a routine that isn't difficult," Jasmine said, her eyes softening. She had thought for a second he had been going to some seedy places. "Sis, can I ask what the performance is?" Cole's curiosity was piqued. "Troublemaker from this year. I'll be doing the choreography," Jasmine said with a confident smile. She was very sure of her choreographing abilities. By removing some of the overly sexual moves, she could turn it into a fantastic number. It was perfect for her and Cole. She had even designed a few special moves just for the two of them. "Huh, that one? I don't think I've ever heard of it. Can I really do it?" Cole feigned surprise. He had seen the music video for Troublemaker countless times. It could be a duet or a group dance. "Of course. You're just a partner. There aren't many moves for you," Jasmine said with a nod. "Come on, Cole, dance with us." "As executives, we should participate," Serena said, her eyes full of expectation. "Yeah, brother. If you get on stage, the employees will be so surprised," Luna added with a gentle smile. "Well, okay, I'll try. If I'm terrible, you can't laugh at me," Cole said, reluctantly agreeing. It wasn't that he was afraid to go on stage. He was afraid he'd start dancing too provocatively and Jasmine would ask where he learned it. All three girls were incredibly smart. One slip up and they'd see right through him. "I guarantee you'll learn it. Just follow my lead," Jasmine said with a contented smile. She had specifically chosen this routine. It opened with just her and Cole, with several intimate moves to show everyone their connection. The others would join in later, and their interactions would be fewer. Serena and Luna both beamed. Dancing with Cole would be a wonderful memory. "We still need one more person. 5 people makes for a better formation, 2 on each side. I was thinking of asking either Yvonne or Lin Fan," Jasmine mused. "With 4 people, it would be hard to highlight the lead dancer. If Cole stood in front, one of the girls would be blocked." Just then, a voice came from the doorway. "I'll do it. I'm not very good, but at a critical moment like this, as the VP of Business Development, I have to step up." The office door had been left open. Yvonne walked in, her face a mask of solemnity, as if she were accepting a grave mission to stay behind and cover a retreat, never to return. Her serious, dramatic expression left the others momentarily stunned. One of the reasons Jasmine had hesitated was that Yvonne's work style was so aggressive. She worried she might lack a certain grace for dancing. But since she had volunteered, it would be wrong to refuse. They could give it a try, but she would have to remind Cole about his hands. He absolutely could not open his palms. It had to be a gentleman's fist. She agreed. "All right then, we'll count you in, Yvonne." "Okay, don't worry, Jasmine. I will complete this difficult task. I'll treat it like the biggest deal I've ever closed," Yvonne said, her gaze firm as she pumped her fist, looking as solemn as a revolutionary soldier. "Okay, it's very easy. Just relax," Jasmine said with a smile. "The biggest deal? That sounds a little strange." "Phew, I can do this," Yvonne said, letting out a deep breath, as if she were already getting nervous. Internally, however, she was cackling. Ha ha, finally, I can officially join them. First there's the first time, then the second, the third, the fourth. So many times. The English translation of troublemaker had many variations. Troublemaker, instigator, hellraiser, rascal. Most people preferred rascal. Cole liked it too. To show he was cooperating with Jasmine, he said enthusiastically, "Sis, should we practice for a bit every afternoon?" "What afternoon? Are you not going to work?" "We'll practice after work and on weekends," Jasmine said, rolling her eyes at him. Oh, Cole deflated. Work was piling up, and sometimes he finished very late. He had been hoping for an excuse to slack off. If you practice during work hours, what will the employees think? If everyone practices during work hours, it will disrupt our operations, Jasmine lectured. The gala performance is just the icing on the cake. Even if the show isn't great, as long as the bonuses are good, everyone will be happy. How good the performance is doesn't matter. What matters is that the company is thriving. So we can't be the ones to set a bad example. Cole, you don't have many moves. You don't need to practice every day. It'll be easy to learn. Jasmine knew he understood all this, but she was afraid that his newfound status might make him complacent. So she decided to be the one to play the bad cop. As the company's founder, it was necessary for him to liven up the atmosphere at the gala. It would help the employees relax. If he danced well, they would admire him even more. If he danced poorly, they would have a good laugh. Either way, he had to dance. This was, in effect, part of his job, but they couldn't rehearse during work hours. Sis, I was just thinking out loud. I'll listen to you. We'll practice after work. Cole laughed awkwardly, but inwardly he was quite pleased. If every executive had this kind of awareness, the company would be fine. If every employee had this awareness, and it was voluntary, the company would surely prosper. A person is only willing to take on extra tasks outside of work when their basic needs are met, treating it as a hobby rather than a burden. Cole understood all of this, but some things couldn't come from his mouth. Anyone could say it, except him. He feigned embarrassment, then used a smile to cover it up, layer upon layer. Jasmine probably can't see through me now, right? Just then, Yvonne chimed in. I agree with Jasmine. Mr. Chun, we can't use work time for this. It would be harmful to the company's overall operations. If we disrupt our work rhythm for a performance, then we're better off not having one at all. Serena shared the same view. Cole, it'll be tough, but practicing during work is too much of a waste. Brother, it's just for a month. We'll all be with you, Luna said, her eyes full of sympathy. She knew how much pressure he was under, but there was no way around it. This performance had to happen. Okay, I understand everyone's good intentions. We'll practice after work. You all are working hard too, Cole said, looking genuinely moved. And he was. With women like these by his side, how could his enterprise not succeed? And, of course, the formidable VP Wong. At that moment, Jasmine was smiling, but her heart was a mix of love and exasperation. That bastard. He gets to be the good guy in all this. I'll deal with him later. Seeing through him was one thing, but she still felt for him. He had truly poured his heart and soul into Headline today, without enjoying much of the rewards. People on Twitter mocked him for driving a beat-up Audi, accusing him of faking his frugality, of being a hypocrite. They started rumors that he secretly drove a Maserati or a Ferrari, that he was a regular at nightclubs, that a new college girl got into his car every day. All the advertisers, they said, were just funding a playboy. But what was the reality? He came to work on time every day and was the last to leave. He might leave early occasionally, but overall, he was incredibly diligent. There was no Maserati, only the Audi she had given him. As for the college girls, well, there were 3 of them. People even made up stories, saying the only reason his company grew so fast was because he was being kept by a rich older sister, making money while lying on his back. Jasmine saw it all, and her heart ached. One night, when she saw all the slanderous and humiliating comments about him on Twitter, she, who never cried, shed tears. This was also why she had gradually relaxed her stance on his relationships with the other 2. It was better to nurture than to restrain. A person couldn't live like a monk. That would lead to serious problems. Jasmine discreetly glanced at Yvonne. She could read her most capable subordinate's intentions like an open book. But Cole had never shown any interest in her beyond their professional relationship, which was a relief. A woman understands a woman. She believed Yvonne was someone who needed to be tamed. Unless she was completely subservient to Cole, it was best for them to maintain a superior subordinate relationship. She was also curious to see how Cole would handle Yvonne. She was a key figure at Headline today. It would be best if she didn't betray them. If she did, it would undoubtedly cause trouble for the company. But it would only be trouble. The soul of Headline today was, and always would be, Cole himself. The world had no shortage of talented people. What it lacked were leaders. Headline today could lose anyone except Cole. But this was something she couldn't interfere in, or it would complicate matters. As Cole was making sacrifices, she had to make some trade-offs as well. Life was never perfect. If she and Cole had just stayed home and run the family business, it would have been a different story. Serena, sitting on the sofa, casually glanced at Yvonne. She knew certain things, but she didn't say them. She trusted Cole to have it all figured out. And with Jasmine around, things wouldn't get out of hand. Luna's eyes were calm and joyful. Besides being a lecher, her brother was very measured in everything else. And nearby, Yvonne was a little nervous. She had never underestimated the three goddesses. Only by passing this test would she have a chance later on. The matter of the performance was settled. With a month to go before the gala, it was time to put in overtime. The company's meeting rooms were all occupied by departments rehearsing their acts. So, Cole and the girls had to use the apartment at Golden Bay. They cleared out the living room, moving the sofa and coffee table into an unused spare bedroom. They laid a thin, cheap rug on the floor to muffle the sound of their footsteps and not disturb the neighbors below. Cole could dance. He could do the goofy viral dances, the club moves, all sorts of strange things. In his past life, having started in sales, being a little wild was a necessary skill. You had to fit in at karaoke bars and clubs. The wilder you were, the more popular you became. Clients felt you were approachable, and it made for a pleasant interaction. But now, Cole had to pretend to be a dance novice. He had to firmly control his body, lest he hear the music and accidentally reveal his true form. The girls were all smart. They would see through it in an instant. Luckily, he had never danced this kind of jazz-funk style before. The moves weren't about being wild. They were about being cool and sharp. It wasn't about shaking your ass. It was about positioning and coordination. The performance opened with him and Jasmine. The interaction was very intimate. There was even a daring move where he lightly patted her, but only then would the lights come up on the other three. After that, he would take the lead. This was the hardest part, with several sets of moves. Then came the part where he moved among them, interacting with each one. This was simpler. A little close-up intimacy was all that was needed. He and each girl would do a synchronized set of beats. When it was Yvonne's turn, Jasmine only allowed him to use his fist or the back of his hand to guide her waist. Cole, of course, didn't mind. Throughout the entire dance, his interaction with Jasmine was the most frequent. This was her little way of asserting her dominance, and he was happy to go along with it. His happiness came from his sister's tolerance. It was a small thing, and he was more than willing to cooperate. Outside, the wind howled, but inside, it was as warm as spring. With the heat on in the living room, it didn't take long for everyone to get hot from dancing. It's so hot. Serena wiped the sweat from her forehead. Her back was soaked. She quickly peeled off her knit sweater, leaving on a small black tank top. Then she took off her wool skirt, leaving just her black leggings, which hugged the curves of her legs and waist perfectly. She looked refreshed and sleek. Luna followed suit. It was just too hot. Underneath, she wore a white lace bandeau, similar to a tank top. She was too shy to take off her skirt. Ever since she got together with Cole, her already ample chest had become even fuller. She just bunched up the hem of her skirt and tied it in a knot to make it easier to move. Jasmine had intended to bear it, but when she saw the other two stripped down, she didn't hesitate. Off came her black V-neck knit sweater, revealing a black bandeau top. Essentially a sports bra, perfect for dancing so nothing moved around. She also took off her striped wool skirt, leaving on her own pair of black leggings. When Jasmine took off her layers, the other three girls looked on in envy. Hers was the perfect female form. Not announced too much, not announced too little. Seeing the three goddesses stripped down, Yvonne, who was also dying of heat, hesitated. She wanted to take off her dress, but underneath she only had on a regular, non-underwire bra. If it were just Cole, she would have dared. But not now. She had to grit her teeth and endure. She should have worn a tank top underneath. Cole, resting on the sofa, pretended to be examining the chandelier. He wanted to look, but didn't dare look too much. And even if he did, his expression couldn't change. Jasmine would get jealous. Some things they all knew, but couldn't be brought out into the open. But there was a solution. He just had to look at Jasmine more. He had to satisfy his sister's little bit of pride. The three girls looked particularly like domineering female CEOs when they were trying to be cool. And very sexy. Yvonne, constantly wiping away sweat, seemed a little less imposing. She was also a bit flustered. Whenever Cole got close to her, she felt like she was losing control, but she had to rein it in, which made her movements less free. Under the evening lights, the scene was intoxicating. for alluring bodies swayed to the rhythm. Serena, Luna, and Yvonne were still learning, their movements not yet fluid. But Jasmine was a walking temptation. Cole couldn't take it. He immediately became arrogant. The little devil on his shoulder threw his head back and sang, "Come on, live a little. We got plenty of time." The little angel on his other shoulder wrung his hands in terror, a fake look of sincerity on his face. "Absolutely not. Stop. That's enough for today. Cole, you can go back to your dorm and rest," Jasmine said, her eyes sharp as a hawk's. She had seen everything. He had to be sent away. There was always a chance, however small. Sleeping in a house full of women, there was no guarantee he wouldn't lose control and grab one of them on her way to the bathroom in the middle of the night. She couldn't even guarantee that she wouldn't sneak into his room herself. Serena had the guts for it. And on top of that, there was Yvonne. Yvonne would definitely be sleeping in a separate room. That was too dangerous. Cole had to go back to his dorm, no matter how late. She was certain that if he asked, not a single one of them would refuse. Jasmine had to be firm. She could not allow any chaos to break out. "Okay, sis. I'll head back to the dorm then," Cole said, obediently getting up. He really couldn't sleep here. The current balance was perfect. He didn't want to break it. Serena and Luna looked disappointed, their enthusiasm for practice instantly gone. Yvonne, however, was calm. She had been patient for a long time. A day or two didn't matter. Today was her first day of being included. There was no rush. She absolutely loved being in Cole's circle. She even thought there might be something a little wrong with her, but she just couldn't suppress the thought. As Cole's figure disappeared and the living room door closed, all of them, including Jasmine, looked disappointed. Downstairs, the cold wind hit Cole, and his arrogance subsided. He relaxed. This kind of visually stimulating environment was both painful and pleasurable. It was tough to endure. In the middle of the night, his phone rang shrilly, jolting him awake. It was Wyatt. "Wyatt, what's up?" "Mr. Chun, our back end was attacked. But we're fine. Good thing you warned us in advance." Wyatt let out a huge sigh of relief. "What happened?" Cole frowned. It was sudden. Project Aegis sounded the alarm. The user database was under attack. The attack lasted about 3 minutes, but the database is fine. We couldn't trace the source of the signal, though. Project Aegis was a product of the AI research lab. Its main function was to defend against hackers. It would automatically trigger layer after layer of a recursive defense network. From the lab's inception, Cole had demanded they prioritize this project to prevent anyone from hacking Headline Today's user database. If that ever happened, the company's credibility would plummet. Now, it had paid off in a big way. "It's fine if you can't trace it. I want you to immediately post a statement from your account as the VP of R&D. Announce what happened, but don't mention Project Aegis," Cole said calmly. "Also, everyone in the lab, including you, gets a bonus." He had only been taking precautions. He never expected someone to actually come after Headline Today. In December of 2011, several major online forums in the country were breached, and millions of users' information was leaked. One of them was a major forum called Tinya. Only one of the perpetrators was ever caught. He had previously found a vulnerability in a major e-commerce site and tried to extort the CEO for nearly $500,000, which led to his arrest. Cole suspected it wasn't just one person. Now, with Headline Today in the picture, they might target him. So he had prepared in advance. He didn't understand coding or AI, and he couldn't have predicted the outcome. But now it was clear. Investing in the AI research lab was one of the smartest decisions he had ever made. It was worth every penny he had spent on salaries and equipment. "Got it, Mr. Chun. I'll post a statement right away," Wyatt said, his voice filled with excitement and admiration. As a programmer, successfully fending off a hacker attack was a huge honor. By the time Cole got back to his dorm and showered, he saw the announcement, or rather, the declaration of war, that Wyatt had posted. All Headline Today executives used their real names. His profile listed his title, Vice President of Research and Development, Headline Today. At 2:40 a.m. today, the Headline Today backend was subjected to a hacker attack. The attack lasted for over 3 minutes, and the perpetrators retreated in vain. As the head of Headline Today's R&D Center, I solemnly declare, please keep trying. Help us test our defense systems. We let you get away this time, but sooner or later, we will catch you. The statement was posted not only on Headline Today, but also on Twitter. The culprit would definitely see it. By morning, it had caused a sensation online. The gawking netizens, of course, cheer them on. But some industry insiders expressed their disdain. They left sarcastic comments on Wyatt's Twitter feed, just looking for attention. They probably faked it themselves. Patting yourself on the back, real classy. Looks like Headline Today has run out of ideas. They're even stooping to this for publicity. Small-time company, big-time publicity stunts. I get it. All sorts of passive-aggressive remarks. The CEO of Tenegrade, a major search engine company, personally posted on Twitter, seizing the opportunity for some free advertising. Tenegrade users can rest assured. We employ the most sophisticated data protection measures and the most rigorous security monitoring systems. The CEO of a major cybersecurity firm, 360 Security, also chimed in. 360 Security Group has always made the cybersecurity of our nation, cities, industries, and enterprises our mission. Use 360 and you will be absolutely secure. At Colchin_HT, we welcome a partnership. With Headline Today remaining silent, many netizens started to believe the cynical comments. Everyone at the company was furious and wanted to refute the claims, but Cole held them back. The truth would come out in due time. Days were for work, evenings, and weekends for dance practice. A tantalizing feast for the eyes and a bitter trial of endurance. Just when he felt he couldn't take it anymore, on the afternoon of the 20th, there was a knock on his office door. Jasmine poked her head in. Cole, let's go buy some groceries in a bit. We'll cook dinner tonight. Home-cooked food is more comfortable. Okay, sis. Cole answered while quickly tidying up his desk. The brother and sister left work early and drove to the grocery store near their apartment complex. Jasmine linked her arm through his, her mood cheerful. It had been a long time since they had gone grocery shopping like this. Cooking for 5 people was a major undertaking. They spent half an hour in the store before they had everything they needed. Back in the living room, the grocery bag sat on the sofa. Cole sat prepping the vegetables. Jasmine sat beside him, doing the same. The heat was on. Jackets and skirts were unnecessary. Leggings were enough. Cole, the rice isn't even cooked yet. Jasmine's cheeks were flushed, and she had been holding a handful of bok choy for a while. No rush. It's still early, Cole said unhurriedly. It's not early. The others will be here soon. Fine. They really started prepping the vegetables. The kitchen had no heating and was much colder. Jasmine had to put her coat back on. She carefully placed the fish in the steamer. Her hand trembled, and the plate nearly fell. Jasmine steadied herself against the stove and looked back at him helplessly, pleading, Cole, can we finish cooking first? No. The others will be here soon. Cole shot back, repeating the exact words she had just said to him. Cole, you monster. If the fish steams for too long, it won't be good. Jasmine cried out randomly. It's fine, as long as it's cooked. Cole was full of arrogance and couldn't be bothered. This put Jasmine in a terrible bind. She struggled to get the fish out of the steamer. Then she started stir-frying the other dishes. Who cooks bent over like this? It was exhausting. Luckily, there were no dishes that required deep frying, or she would have had nowhere to hide from the splattering oil. There was just the steamed sea base and a few vegetable dishes. Jasmine bit her lip and persevered. She had no choice. She had done this specifically to console him today. Otherwise, she was afraid he would go crazy. Just as she was starting the third dish, there was a knock on the front door. They both froze. Go open the door, Jasmine said, pushing him away. She splashed some cold water from the tap on her face to cool down. Cole quickly tidied himself up and went to open the door. Serena, Luna, and Yvonne had all arrived. And so had Lin Fan. What is that little brat doing here? Lin ignored Cole completely and marched straight into the living room. She was here to watch the rehearsal and snag a free meal. Wow, it smells so good. I'm starving, Serena said, sniffing the air. Luna gave Cole a sweet smile and then ran into the kitchen. Jasmine, you've worked so hard. Is there anything left to cook? I can do it. Sure. Just the green bean and eggplant dish and the bok choy, Jasmine said, not refusing the offer. She was desperate to get to the bathroom. Serena didn't know how to cook, so she could only help by setting the table. Lin was even more useless and could only wait to eat. Yvonne, meanwhile, stood in the living room and gave Cole a report on the past 2 days' work. Recently, a lot of major influencers have been dissing Headline Today online, which was affecting ad revenue. Several brands are hesitating. I don't think they're actually hesitant. I think they're trying to squeeze us. Yes, you're probably right. It's fine. In a couple of days, they'll change their minds, Cole said from the sofa, full of confidence. He continued, we now have targeted content delivery on Headline Today. Advertising with us is a great deal. They all know that. Mr. Chun, shouldn't we respond on Twitter? Yvonne couldn't help but ask. Letting those dogs bark was seriously damaging their reputation. As she spoke, she glanced at Cole and immediately noticed something strange. She thought to herself, he's definitely been up to no good again, that degenerate king. She heard Cole say calmly, no need. Something will happen soon enough that will respond for us. His heart was still restless, but it was better than a few days ago. After dinner and a short rest, the grueling rehearsal began again. Yvonne noticed something strange. Jasmine was sweating profusely but hadn't taken off her skirt, even though she was wearing leggings underneath. Jasmine was miserable. How could she dare take it off? There was a hole in these leggings. She had to keep her wool dress on while she danced. She was too embarrassed to go change, or else the others would wonder, why does she suddenly need to change? They rehearsed until after 10. Cole, looking pitiful, braved the cold wind and went back to his dorm. Lynn stayed over to sleep with Yvonne. The next day, major news broke online. CSDN, a famous IT community, had been hacked, and the data of over 6 million users had been stolen. Then, 40 million user records from the Tianya community were stolen, with hackers even publishing the plaintext passwords. Another social media site also reported a leak, though the company claimed it was an inside job. Twitter, various e-commerce sites like Amazon and eBay, and other social networks all issued denials. On December 28th, the FCC released a notice regarding the recent information leaks on several internet websites. On the 30th, the Internet Association held a Website Information Protection Symposium. This was a private association composed of dozens of internet companies. They invited representatives from various organizations, but they conspicuously did not invite Headline Today. Cole didn't care. Those who walk different paths cannot make plans together. Headline Today's model was destined to be a lonely one. The good news was netizens were wildly cheering for Headline Today. Registrations and downloads soared once again. Headline Today had announced it was hacked days ago and had come out unscathed, yet it had been mocked by so many of its peers. Now, they all had egg on their faces. Some major Twitter influencers had already deleted their posts. Cole seized the opportunity and posted on Twitter, "To all Headline Today and Slice video users, please rest assured. Our R&D center has its own defense system. All user data is safe. I would let the color of my underwear be leaked before I let our users' privacy get out." In her office, Yvonne saw the post and pursed her lips. That Cole Chun is so shameless. But she liked it. This bold tweet received widespread attention. Countless netizens flooded the comments section, teasing him about the color of his underwear. At the same time, in Washington, D.C., in a certain government office, Serena's powerful uncle frowned as he looked at the file in his hands. It was a report from the state police in Rockford. It praised Cole Chun of Headline Today for his social conscience, strong sense of responsibility, and his voluntary funding to assist in the capture of a criminal. It mentioned his visits to innocent injured citizens, his donations, and the positive role he played in stabilizing the community. This report had been submitted along with the main case file. The incident in Rockford had attracted the attention of higher authorities. The story was going to be summarized and broadcast on the news, which meant the department would have to praise Cole Chun of Headline Today as well. Serena's uncle smacked his lips. There was nothing he could do. Public and private matters had to be kept separate. If praise was due, it had to be given. This was exemplary leadership, and it had to be promoted. That was the message from the lower-level agency. He pinched his nose and wrote a few lines, affirming the work of the state and city police departments and praising Cole Chun's good deeds. When this news was released, Headline Today and Cole Chun shot up the trending charts. Immediately after, the FCC issued another notice, hoping that all major internet companies would work together to create a safe and stable internet environment and protect user privacy. It specifically praised Headline Today for setting an example in user data protection. Overnight, Headline Today and Cole Chun became the #1 trending topic. Many netizens who usually only paid attention to celebrities shifted their focus. Even the entertainment industry, which usually dominated the trending charts, finally took notice of Cole Chun, because their paid-for trending spots had been pushed aside. During this period, Twitter's trending topics were the domain of the entertainment industry. It was rare for a company to make the list unless there was a major scandal. The entertainment world had paid little attention to this new internet star. It wasn't that they didn't follow business celebrities, but their focus was usually on the ultra-rich who had money to burn. The entertainment industry needed money, and starlets needed their sugar daddies. In New York City, Celestial Media, LLC. This was a subsidiary of a major media conglomerate, specializing in music and television production. Many of the conglomerate's biggest pop stars came from this company, which was dedicated to artist development. How did this get to the top of the trending list? Asked the current president, Ken Zung, with a frown. The network was about to host its New Year's Eve special, and some of the company's artists were participating. They had just bought trending spots to build hype, only to be upstaged by some company. #1 on the list was Headline today, praised by both the FCC and the Department of Justice. Number 2. Headline today's Cold Shun is actually super handsome. Number 3. Headline today emerges victorious among hundreds of internet companies. The top 3 spots were all taken. Normally, corporate news didn't have this kind of heat. He probably spent a fortune to buy the trending spots himself. It can't be his personal charm, right? Speculated the vice president, Michelle Kwan, her mind elsewhere. He was handsome. The photo on the trending page was of Cole in a suit, taken at the tech conference last year. Young, but with a powerful, masculine energy. Handsome, mature, and fiercely potent. Exactly the type that women her age craved. She couldn't help but swallow. Across from her, Kim Zung said dismissively, probably, he's already making so much money, and he's still spending it on trending spots. He really wants to have his cake and eat it too. He's young. It's normal to want the spotlight, Michelle Kwan said, her eyes still fixed on that handsome photo, a hint of regret in her gaze. She continued, it's a shame he's already a wealthy boss. Otherwise, he'd definitely be a huge star in the entertainment industry. If he joined Celestial, I'd definitely promote him. Haha, Michelle, you don't have a crush on him, do you? Kim Zung said with a sly smile. We're supposed to be a united front right now. Don't go switching sides on me. Of course not. I'm not interested in younger men, Michelle Kwan said, her words betraying her true feelings. She changed the subject. That short drama series of theirs was pretty popular. I heard they sold a lot of subscriptions just from that. Yeah, lowbrow trash, Kim Zung said with disdain. The audience is used to gourmet meals. They try a pickle once in a while and think it's delicious. But they made money. We could actually try something similar. We just need to use some college students. The cost will be very low, Michelle Kwan suggested. No need. Kim Zung flatly refused. Our peers would laugh at us. Celestial Media had produced short films before, but that was art. What was this short drama nonsense? Or we could try to poach that actress, Amy. I think she has a lot of potential, Michelle Kwan said, defeated. Kim Zung was a president parachuted in from the parent company, a product of the old guard. He was also the head of Celestial's talent department, holding all the power. That's worth considering. But she's starting from a very low point. She's been in that so-called influencer circle for a long time. The cost of elevating her status would be a bit high, Kim Zung mused. Michelle Kwan smiled and suggested, we could get her on The Tonight Show for a segment, get her ready for next year's reality show lineup. Her status would rise quickly. We could try. Give her a chance, Kim Zung nodded. I'll contact her. I don't think it'll be a problem, Michelle Kwan said confidently. So many people were dying to get into Celestial. Poaching this Amy should be a piece of cake. Soon, a subordinate sent her Amy's contact information. She dialed the number immediately. A minute later, she hung up, her face grim. She refused. Not surprising, Kim Zung scoffed. Headline today has risen so quickly. It's impossible that they don't have someone powerful backing them. The backers probably won't allow it, so that Amy doesn't dare to jump ship. Seeing his VP get rejected, he felt a strange sense of satisfaction. That's possible. Who do you think is backing Headline today? Being rejected by someone who wasn't even a real actress. Michelle Kwan's expression didn't recover for a long time. Probably the 2 shareholders of Slice Video. Kim Zung pieced it together in his mind. Don't let the fact that they each only own 20% of Slice fool you. They might have a controlling interest in Headline today through other agreements. A young man with no reputation suddenly appears out of nowhere. Was that possible? It was too unreasonable. It was only natural that he had backers. The information about the 2 shareholders was public, but only regarding their companies. Their personal information was private. They were both little-known investment firms. They were most likely the children of government officials, or maybe the children of some major corporate conglomerate. That's what they usually did. For example, the famous second-generation heir, the son of a real estate tycoon, had made some small investments. This year, he even announced he was entering the esports industry, with his father giving him $100 million in support. But that $100 million was really just the dividends he was owed from the family business, as he was also a director on the board and held shares. Otherwise, he couldn't have pulled out $100 million from a personal account. If it was just a rich kid, Kim Zung wasn't afraid of the business competition. Celestial's parent company was a media giant, which came from a major television network. Their background was also very strong. They usually wouldn't tear each other down. They might even know each other. That must be it, Michelle Kwan agreed. At Eastwood Tech, School of the Arts, Amy was scrolling through fan comments, picking some to reply to. She didn't give the phone call a second thought. Becoming an artist at a famous company had once been her dream. But things are different now. Sticking firmly with Headline today was the smartest choice. There were so many art students, music students, acting students. Could those entertainment companies really accommodate them all? Except for a very few with exceptional talent. The rest all became wage slaves. Who knows how many were tricked into sleeping their way up. She felt she was one of the lucky ones. She was glad she had persevered. Her current income was something she could never have imagined before. And as for those stars with high salaries and appearance fees, it was only the established ones. Newcomers were just on a monthly salary. Amy had heard from some upperclassmen that you also had to go out and drink with clients. As a result, many had given up on their original dreams. Some of her classmates had also started accounts on Headline Today. Some became popular, some didn't. But she had been consistently popular. Headline Today's support for her had never wavered. And her profile description had already been changed to signed actress, Headline Today, head of Amy Studios. The back-end had changed it for her. So she changed her Twitter bio to match. Just as she was about to close Twitter, she saw a new post. It was about Mr. Chun. She immediately opened it. Someone had put a photo of Mr. Chun alongside photos of several male pop stars and actors and started a poll. Who is more handsome? Among them was a male star Amy had once had a huge crush on. She moved her mouse over the options and, without hesitation, cast her vote for Mr. Chun. She even boldly left a comment. If you're going to be a fan of Mr. Chun. If you're looking for a husband, find one like Mr. Chun. She had already given up on the idea of joining Mr. Chun's big family. Instead, she felt liberated. Mr. Chun wouldn't mind a little joke. After putting away her laptop, she started practicing her song for the annual gala. For a few days, Cole Chun became inexplicably famous. A handful of photos from a national tech summit had gone viral, spreading like wildfire. He found himself being unwillingly compared to various celebrities, a situation he found both hilarious and exasperating. He had become a star without ever wanting to be one. On second thought, he decided it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. His public persona was already one of impulsive energy and bold confidence. He might as well lean into it and let the narrative run its course. It was free advertising for Headline Today. A knock came at his door, and Yvonne walked in. The door was already ajar. With the girls not around, Cole couldn't be bothered to close it. Mr. Chun, a few male celebrities are throwing shade at you online. Should we respond? Yvonne handed him a few printed out A4 pages. She didn't have to look for this stuff herself. Her team compiled and delivered it to her. She used to be a fan of one of the men on the list. Now she loathed him. Cole glanced at the pages. The first one was from an actor famous for his roles in historical dramas. No need. Let them say what they want. Cole had no interest in engaging. A response would only give them more exposure. Okay, but it's no big deal. A lot of people are supporting you. Yvonne then handed him another file. Here are the latest stats for Glow Up and Oracle QA. Take a look when you have a minute. Got it. Also, does the marketing department need to prepare your speech for the annual meeting? It's fine. I'll do it myself. Is something on your mind, Mr. Chun? Yvonne noticed that he seemed a bit distracted. Not at all, Cole denied, though he was indeed preoccupied. He was thinking about the upcoming holiday break. He would have to face Jasmine's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Young, and there was no telling how things would go when Jasmine herself got home. His grand ambition of having 3 partners was about to face its first major battle. Do you want me to give you a head massage? Yvonne asked with concern. I'm fine. I don't have a headache or anything. Feeling great, Cole said, his eyes still on the data reports. Fine, don't get one then. I'm leaving. Yvonne huffed and turned to walk away. Come back, Cole called after his vice president. You can start promoting the annual meeting. It's not just a company party. It's a marketing event. Got it, Yvonne replied, then sashayed out of the room to make the arrangements. Ever since she started rehearsing for their performance, she had learned the essence of a good hip sway from Jasmine. It only deepened her admiration for the woman. Jasmine's sway was the real deal, as fluid and graceful as a willow branch, utterly devoid of tackiness. It was an almost imperceptible movement that still conveyed exceptional poise. No wonder it had Cole completely mesmerized. Yvonne had started imitating it, and she had to admit, a glance in the mirror confirmed it added a level of sophistication. As she reached the doorway, she glanced back, hoping to see a look of admiration in Cole's eyes. Instead, he was completely engrossed in the files. Infuriating. A few days later, on January 5th, 2012, the day of the Headline Today annual meeting arrived. The temperature had dropped to freezing. A miserable mix of rain and snow had fallen a couple of days prior, leaving the air damp and bitingly cold. You had to be bundled up to even step outside. Cole arrived early at the Rockford Convention Center. It was the only venue in the city large enough to accommodate the 700 or 800 people attending. The rental fee was steep, but the place was high-end, grand, and classy. The seating could be raised into a tiered slope, ensuring that the front rows didn't obstruct the view for those in the back. Staff in the regional offices had arrived the day before and were now filing into the hall. In addition to employees from Slice Video, Glow Up, and Oracle QA, Cole had also invited a dozen influencers, as well as 8 or 9 university administrators and a few officials from the FCC. Cole stood at the entrance to greet them, a sign of respect. "Professor Diaz, so good of you to come." "Cole, you don't need to stand out here. It's freezing," said Professor Diaz, bundled in a heavy coat and scarf, her face warm and kind. Her relationship with Cole had grown even closer recently. Her own daughter had quit her job in New York and was now the head of the interview program at Headline Today. The pay was better than her NYC salary, and she was right here at home. It couldn't have been more perfect. She had been hesitant to even mention it to Cole, but one tentative suggestion was all it took. "Not cold at all. I run hot," Cole said with a humble expression. "It's an honor for me that you could attend our company's annual meeting. The least I can do is welcome my guests." "All right then, I'll head inside." "You should get in as soon as you're done," Professor Diaz said with a gentle nod, her eyes filled with a certain nostalgia. How much time had passed? She still vividly remembered the day he had walked into her office at the Venture Lab. In the blink of an eye, the kid had become a bona fide tech entrepreneur. It was, she thought with a private smile, a testament to her own good judgment. When she had fast-tracked his office request, some on the committee had opposed it, even sniped at her. Soon after, Professor Zhang from Academic Affairs arrived, followed by the director of the Student Activities Board and several other administrators. If this were a small company's party, he never could have gotten them to attend. But Headline Today was a powerhouse now. It had come out of Eastwood University, and the school shared in its glory. More importantly, Cole himself was unfailingly humble, which put everyone at ease. "Cole, keep it up." The director of the Student Activities Board, a man of 50 with salt and pepper hair, shook Cole's hand firmly. His eldest son was in grad school in Boston, and his youngest daughter, a freshman, had a part-time gig acting in short dramas for Slice Video. She wanted to be a director someday. "Thank you for the encouragement, sir. I'll do my best," Cole replied with a quick, appreciative nod. With winter break approaching, the university officials had limited time and couldn't be away from campus all day. They would only attend the morning summary session, watch a few performances, and stay for lunch. But that was more than enough of a show of support. Cole was satisfied. After greeting the dignitaries, he entered the convention hall and took a seat with them in the front row. The various departments were already seated in their designated sections, a sea of people filling the vast space. The VPs sat in the second row. The first was reserved for the officials, with any extra seats left empty. Vanessa Fan and Spencer Chun were seated in the Slice Video section, also in the second row. They had no intention of drawing attention to themselves, content to be invisible benefactors. The camera crews were in position. The central heating was running, keeping the hall at a comfortable 60-some degrees. The MC, Yvonne, walked on stage in a shoulder-bearing formal gown. With light makeup and a radiant smile, she was dazzling. Esteemed administrators from Eastwood University, honored officials from the FCC, our respected CEO, Mr. Chun, and my dear colleagues, good morning. The hall erupted in applause. This annual meeting is a joint celebration for Headline Today, Slice Video, Glow Up, and Oracle QA. It is also our very first one. I'm one of your hosts for today, Yvonne Wong. The applause grew even louder. Who wouldn't show respect for the vice president of the business center? On this occasion of bidding farewell to the old and welcoming the new, we gather here together. Yvonne gave a brief opening speech before making the grand announcement. And now, please join me in welcoming the founder and CEO of Headline Today, Mr. Cole Chun, to deliver his summary of our work this past year. The applause was like thunder, louder and more fervent than before. Cole stood up, smiling and bowing to his left and right. He then walked toward the stage amidst the roaring ovation. Every eye was on him. Everyone's gaze was searing, unblinking, fixed on the young man who had led them to a better life. Respected leaders, dear colleagues, good morning. Good morning. Morning, Mr. Chun. You got it, boss. Cole, I love you. A cacophony of shrieks, whistles, and cheers exploded through the convention hall. Cole had barely uttered a single sentence before being interrupted by the thunderous response from his employees. He smiled and raised a hand, gesturing for quiet. The hall immediately fell silent. The sight left the dignitaries in the front row with complex expressions. This kid's authority was immense. The sound had come from the entire crowd, a unified and powerful roar. Cole was dressed in a tailored suit and a crisp white shirt, but no tie, giving him a relaxed yet sharp look. He stood ramrod straight, his gaze sweeping across the audience. Headline Today has been in development for just over a year, he began, his voice clear and resonant. During this time, we have navigated market volatility and intense competition, but we have always held fast to our direction and our goals. The success we enjoy today is the result of the hard work of every single one of our colleagues. First and foremost, I want to express my deepest respect to all of you. Cole gave a deep bow. The crowd responded with a wave of emotional applause. I am a student of Eastwood University, and the success of Headline Today would not have been possible without the tremendous support of Eastwood and the Rockford branch of the FCC. I want to express my gratitude to all our leaders here today. He bowed again. The officials beamed with pride and clapped enthusiastically. And to my friends, our bond is ironclad, so I won't thank you here. It all goes without saying. Cole added the cryptic line for Vanessa's benefit. She didn't want the spotlight. I still remember the day I walked into the Venture Lab's administrative office. Cole proceeded to flatter each of the leaders in turn. The core of a year-end summary wasn't just about performance metrics. It was about sentiment. It was about reminding the employees how far they'd come and reminding the leaders that he hadn't forgotten their support. After praising the officials, Cole spoke with renewed gravity. Now, please allow me to introduce a few of my partners. First, the Vice President of our R&D Center, Senior Wyatt Way. Wyatt stood up, bowed to those around him, and waved. Many of the employees had never seen the head of R&D and were intensely curious. Oh, he's almost bald. R&D must be tough. Second, the Vice President of our Business Center, Senior Yvonne Wong. Yvonne, standing in a corner of the stage, bowed and waved. Finally, he remembers to call me Senior, she thought with a silent huff. It's been ages. Still, I guess I prefer it when he just calls me Yvonne. Third, the Vice President of our Human Resources Center, Ms. Jasmine Yang. Jasmine also rose to acknowledge the crowd. Half the employees, especially those from the remote offices, had never seen her. Their eyes were filled with astonishment. The Vice President of our Finance Center, Ms. Luna stood up slightly shy. She was a little nervous, but quickly calmed herself. Even fewer people had seen her before. Whoa, another absolute goddess. And the Vice President of our Legal Center, Ms. Serena Shun. Serena stood and waved gracefully. The fewest of all had ever seen her. A murmur spread through the hall. Holy crap, the heads of legal, finance, and HR are all heavenly beauties. And the VP of business isn't bad either, just has a temper. I heard she even dares to argue with the CEO. Vice President Fiona, Vice President Whitney Yuan, CEO of Slice Video, Senior Jenna Zhou, Head of the AI Research Lab, Senior Marcus Ma, Head of the R&D Project Department, Senior Leo Liu, the team from GlowUp, the team from Oracle QA. After introducing all the key executives, Cole continued. Here, I also want to express my gratitude to the colleagues stationed in our remote offices who have made outstanding contributions. He then introduced the heads of the regional offices. Being recognized in front of the entire company was a tremendous morale boost. He followed with a summary of their work and a vision for the future. Although he kept his speech concise, it still took an hour. The employees listened with rapt attention, captivated as Cole used a series of small anecdotes to illustrate the company's evolution. The leaders, too, were engrossed, fascinated by the story of Headline Today's rise. Finally, I want to thank everyone again. Cole concluded his speech and walked off stage to another round of applause. Next, please welcome the director of Eastwood's Student Activities Board, Mr. Davies. Yvonne continued with the program. Both Director Davies and Director Liu from the FCC gave brief speeches, affirming and encouraging Headline Today's development. Then came the first performance, a rendition of Happy Worship by the Human Resources Department. The morning session concluded at precisely noon. The awards ceremony would take place in the afternoon. All employees proceeded to the banquet hall for lunch. Cole sat at a table with the leaders, sharing a few drinks. Looking around at the bustling, festive scene, he was filled with emotion. He had spared no expense for today's meeting. It included 2 meals, as well as round-trip travel and hotel accommodations for everyone from the out-of-town offices. In his past life, before starting his own business, he had worked for other companies where on the day of the annual meeting, he'd had to buy his own lunch, pay for his own hotel, and then pay his own way back to his city the next day. The memory of that humiliation was still sharp. At lunch, he had to entertain the leaders. Dinner would be his time to celebrate with his employees. The officials had afternoon commitments and didn't drink much. After the meal, Cole saw them to the main entrance. At 2 in the afternoon, the well-fed and refreshed employees re-entered the main hall, settling down quietly for the next act. To their surprise, 2 burly men and 6 equally imposing women walked onto the stage, each carrying a large black briefcase. They placed the cases on a long table draped with a red cloth against the back wall. Then, they opened them and dumped the contents out. Stacks and stacks of familiar, red-banded paper appeared before everyone's eyes. Money. It was all cash. The cameras, positioned at various angles, were all turned off. Cole felt this part of the event was not suitable for public display, at least not at this stage. He walked on stage, took the microphone from Yvonne, and grinned. I know, I'm this crude, this direct. But you all like it, don't you? We love it. We freaking love you, Mr. Chun. Cole, I'd follow you in a battle. Cole Chun is the man. The crowd erupted in a frenzy, their eyes red with excitement. The sheer impact of cold, hard cash was overwhelming. First, let's watch the show. We'll hand out an award after each performance, Cole said, pleased with their reaction. There was no better motivator than money. The afternoon's host was Lynn Fan, who had no performance scheduled. She wore a pink formal gown, a stark contrast to her usual cool, edgy style. In the audience, her sister Vanessa watched with a smile. If her daughter weren't hosting, she would have already left. Next, please enjoy Amy singing Wings of Love, Lynn announced in a clear voice. Amy, now in a light blue dress, walked on stage. It was a bit chilly, even at 60-odd degrees, but she could handle it for a few minutes. After the song, Cole returned to the stage for the most important part of the afternoon, handing out the money. It was for employees with outstanding performance and contributions, as well as for outstanding management, including the director level. The several briefcases held at least $300,000 in cash. The sheer scale of it was breathtaking. Every employee stared wide-eyed. Please welcome Mr. Marcus Ma from our AI research lab to the stage to receive his bonus. Lynn held a cue card in her hand. She shot a disdainful look at Cole. This man, so vulgar. But deep down, she felt a sliver of admiration. Marcus ran up to the stage, beaming. Senior, thank you for your hard work. Cole grabbed 10 stacks of bills and handed them to him. Project Aegis wouldn't have been possible without him. Marcus and his team had worked tirelessly, practically living at the office. The current optimization of Headline Today's algorithm was all thanks to their lab. Not at all. Thank you, Mr. Chun. Marcus's hands were trembling slightly. This was $10,000. He truly hadn't expected his former junior to be so generous. He thought it might be a few hundred at most. He had other bonuses coming, after all. He decided he wouldn't keep all of this for himself. After the meeting, he'd share it with the lab. Senior, this is all for you. Everyone is getting one, Cole said, seeing right through him. Thank you, Mr. Chun. Everyone at the director level and above got a bonus, coming up one by one to collect their cash. Some supervisors got them too. The employee-level bonuses went mainly to those on the front lines in marketing and in the R&D center. The logistics department had fewer recipients. After Headline Today came Slice Video. The only ones who didn't receive a cash bonus were employees who had been with the company for less than 3 months. This served as a powerful motivator for them. They clenched their teeth and vowed that at next year's meeting, they would be the ones getting called up. It was 5 in the afternoon by the time the last stack of cash was handed out, and it was time for the grand finale. Cole went backstage to prepare. And now, please welcome Mr. Chun and our 4 vice presidents, who will be performing the dance Troublemaker, Lynn announced, a sense of relief in her voice that her duties were almost over. The lights in the hall dimmed. Everyone stared at the stage, their anticipation for the CEO and VP's performance palpable. A single spotlight suddenly flared to life, illuminating 2 figures in the center of the stage. Cole was in a black dress shirt and slacks, his broad shoulders filling out the fabric. Jasmine had shed her down jacket. She wore a form-fitting, coffee-colored V-neck cashmere sweater and gray, wide-leg pinstripe trousers. A pair of 1-inch, coffee-colored stiletto heels completed the look. Her black hair was pulled back in a loose bun, with 2 stray tendrils framing her face. She exuded the aura of an elegant, sophisticated woman. They stood back to back. Jasmine had her arms crossed. Cole was frozen in the pose of someone about to snap his fingers. As the whistling intro of the song began, Cole snapped his fingers in time with the beat, his expression cool, his gaze distant. It was a stark contrast to his usual warm demeanor. If he was going to dance, he was going to do it right. The choreography wasn't difficult. The key was maintaining the emotional state. After the 4th snap, 3 more spotlights ignited, revealing 3 slender figures with their backs to the audience. Serena wore a long, white, sleeveless dress, projecting a sweet, collegiate style. Luna was in a loose, long, pink knit sweater paired with slim-fit jeans, giving off a warm, domestic vibe. Yvonne had on a black, sleeveless knit top with a long, dark gray formal skirt that fell to her mid-calf, the exposed portion of her legs clad in black stockings. It was a look that was both professional and sexy. When I look into your eyes, I become a troublemaker. When I stand by your side, I become a troublemaker. Cole extended his right leg, turned, and let his hand glide across Jasmine's waist from right to left. He spun smoothly to face her, his hands cupping her waist. Behind them, the other three girls turned and began to walk with simple, exaggerated model-like steps and clean arm movements, symbolizing their entrance into the man's life. Each of the three had a distinct aura. A wave of wows and shrieks rippled through the audience as people scrambled for their phones. Little by little, more, gradually more. Cole and Jasmine locked eyes, neither willing to back down, as if in a silent battle of wills. Jasmine turned coolly to face the audience, pushed Cole's chest to shove him away. He pulled her back in a fluid motion, and she spun back in his arms. They both faced forward. Now I can't control my heart either. To make sure you can't forget me, I always appear before you. Jasmine raised her hand as if to strike him, but he caught her wrist, his lips tracing a path up her arm to the side of her neck. Her cold expression softened as she turned her head to gaze at the man before her. Their bodies were pressed close, their faces nearly touching, as they moved together with the music. There were no overtly sexual movements, only powerful, simple gestures of extending arms and legs, with a slight sway of the hips. But Cole's arm was wrapped around Jasmine's waist, and her hand rested on his hip in return. This was perhaps the most daring move of the dance. In the midst of the song, one handsome, one elegant and beautiful, they used simple movements to tell a story of emotional entanglement. You always make my heart waver, impossible to ignore, and run away after stealing another kiss from your lips. Jasmine turned around, but Cole stepped away, giving her a light, playful tap on her behind as he went. Jasmine stood still, a look of mock grievance on her face. The audience went wild. Howls and screams erupted from the crowd. The logistics staff had never seen this side of Jasmine. Cole moved to the center of the stage. Jasmine retreated to stand between the other girls, two on each side. I'm trouble. Trouble. Troublemaker. 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 The five of them moved in perfect unison. There was no posturing, just walking and swinging their arms and legs. But elevated by their presence and the rhythm, it possessed a unique, rhythmic beauty. The man was cool and dashing. The four women were slender and graceful. It was a captivating sight. As the second verse began, Cole moved beside Serena, his hand finding her waist as he spun behind her. Like a cat, I bit down on your heart and then ran away. You always come before me, impatient and angry. They swayed gently together. Serena tilted her head to look at Cole, reaching up to gently stroke his face. The joy in her eyes was clearly not an act. The other three women watched coldly from the side. My sexy steps dance in your mind. A proper closeness, your face seems to crave intimacy. Cole gave Serena's hip a light tap and callously walked away. Luna moved into position, meeting him. I'm more and more fascinated by you. The more I know you, the more I like you. Baby, the thought of you is intoxicating, lady. Luna's hand rested on Cole's chest, her face already flushed. She was nervous in front of so many people, but her movements were still flawless. She took his hands and wrapped them around her own waist. Cole patted her on the hip and, once again, heartlessly departed. The screaming from the audience never stopped. Every eye was wide. Cole was pushing the limits. It was also the first time they had seen this side of the VPs of legal, finance, and HR. Those in the know, however, weren't surprised at all. These people were practically an old married couple. It was Yvonne's turn. She was thrilled. I'll never stop. To make sure you can't forget me, I always appear before you. You always make my heart waver, impossible to ignore, and run away after stealing another kiss from your lips. When Cole's arm wrapped around her, her entire body trembled. She struggled to keep up with the beat, her eyes smoldering with a desire that was anything but an act. Even though Cole was only using his fist gently pressed against her waist, doing this in front of so many people, it gave her the thrill of openly stealing him away. If anyone complained, she would swear it was all part of the performance. As Cole lightly tapped her hip, her face turned crimson, not from shyness, but from exhilaration. Cole returned to the center. The four women stood behind him, moving in sync. I'm through. Trouble. True troublemaker. Troublemaker, troublemaker. After that, Cole moved frequently between the four women, expressing a sense of entanglement. The one being held looked on with deep affection, while those let go showed flashes of anger. But his most intimate interactions were with Jasmine. Cole could practically feel the sour glares from the other two girls. At some point, the audience had fallen silent, watching, mesmerized, until the music ended, and the five of them struck a final pose with Cole at the center. The lights in the hall came up fully. Clap, 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 clap. The applause was thunderous. Screams and shouts echoed through the hall. On stage, Lynn was stunned. She had seen them rehearse, but only in bits and pieces. Seeing the complete performance was a totally different experience. That shameless man. He actually had pretty good rhythm. She wasn't surprised by the VP's performance. She'd seen them interact with him many times before. In the audience, Vanessa looked from her daughter to Cole and sighed softly. The annual meeting ended in a fever pitch of excitement. At dinner, Cole, along with his VPs, went from table to table for toasts. He nearly drank himself under the table. Fortunately, as the boss, he only had to take sips. Employees were sprawled out everywhere. Wyatt had passed out. The women were also flushed, but it didn't matter. Tomorrow was Saturday. The party didn't break up until 9. Cole called a cab and sent the 4 girls to the Golden Bay residences. Then he forced himself to take another cab back to Eastwood University. He had to leave. Staying was too dangerous. If he woke up in the morning to a scene of utter chaos, Jasmine would be furious. He wouldn't be able to face her. A few of the cameramen, who had participated in many shoots and received handsome bonuses, voluntarily worked overtime that night. Fueled by alcohol, they personally edited the footage and released it through Headline Today's official account. On Twitter, it was a single post, as the platform couldn't yet support video. Headline Today holds annual meeting. CEO Cole Shun and 4 Goddess VPs dance together, stunning the audience. Video on Slice Video. Cole didn't wake up until 10 the next morning. Preston and Frank, who had also had too much to drink, were still snoring. He heard Javi, the only sober one, yell out, "Holy crap, Cole, you're actually famous." Famous for what? Cole was still groggy. Come see the video on Slice for yourself. Cole hopped down from his bunk and walked over to Javi's desk, looking at the computer screen. It was the dance video from last night. It had over 3 million likes, more than 100,000 comments. The CEO and his 4 guardians. I would sell my soul to be in his place. Say what you will, the dancing is actually good. The choreography isn't sleazy, just looks great, better than the original. So these are the legendary 4 female VPs of Headline Today. Mr. Shun, please debut your girl group. Cole clicked over to Twitter and saw the post there. Tons of comments. It had even been liked by a few major tech figures. And, inexplicably, the Rockford Police Department's official account. Cole carefully scrolled through the Twitter feed, then opened his own Twitter and Headline Today accounts. His follower counts on both had skyrocketed. Private messages were at 99 plus. He didn't need to read them. He couldn't possibly get through them all. Yvonne or Jasmine's administrative teams would handle that. The video was undeniably a hit. He took a deep breath, his mind settling into a state of calm. The publicity was necessary. It was part of his brand. It might cause some trouble, but compared to establishing his personal image on a global scale and advancing the growth of Headline Today, a few minor annoyances were nothing. The video would eventually reach the Shun family. So what? It was just a dance. If they didn't like it, there was nothing they could do. The Shuns were on a pedestal. They wouldn't stoop to his level. Besides, Spencer would lay the groundwork for him. That had been the outcome of their conversation when Spencer had rushed to Rockford 2 days ago. Faced with the enormous potential profits from Slice Video, Spencer had only offered a token protest. As for Serena's mother, she'd probably find a way to make trouble. Let her. The more she picked fights, the more she'd look like an unreasonable person. Cole was never worried about a direct confrontation with her. He was worried she might suddenly start supporting him. That would be the most terrifying outcome. Like a best friend who appears supportive, making you happy that your girlfriend has such a great confidant, while secretly using carefully crafted words to erode the foundation of your relationship. That T-art was just as effective on the same sex. Your relationship would fracture without you even realizing it, and you'd still be grateful to the very friend who was constantly mediating. Sometimes, people who say all the right things and seem to want nothing in return aren't necessarily good. And people who confront you head-on don't always bring bad results. So Cole was more than happy to see her come at him directly. His confidence was rooted entirely in Serena herself. As long as her mother cared about her reputation, she wouldn't make a public spectacle. The greater his own fame grew, the more a family of public servants like hers would have to consider the optics. It was the same principle as the scholar in the old story who couldn't bring himself to take off his long gown, a matter of face. As long as she didn't acknowledge it, it was as if it didn't exist. After all, Serena's mother had one quality that wasn't exactly a virtue. She was obsessed with the glory of a political career and didn't care much for money. That meant she would never stoop to the level of a public shrew, tearing him down in the open. As for the online chatter, Cole wasn't worried. He was young, was a little dancing. The internet mob would soon forget and turn their attention to the next guy driving a Ferrari with one hand. He was, however, a little concerned about Jasmine's parents. They were probably sad and worried about their daughter's future. He would have to deal with that when he went home for the holidays. Seeing Cole silent for so long, Javi didn't know what to say. After washing up, a message from Jasmine arrived on his Facebook Messenger. Jasmine, rise and shine. We're making food, come over. Cole, on my way, sis. Cole had planned on going over anyway. He went downstairs and headed for the parking lot. Sasha had already dropped off his car that morning. When he arrived at the Golden Bay residences, it was Luna who opened the door. She was wearing only a cashmere sweater and leggings. The front of the sweater barely reached her stomach, and the black leggings made her legs look even longer and more slender. She gave him a shy, sweet smile and whispered, "Brother, hey, you guys working out?" Cole saw Jasmine on the floor, stretching into a perfect split on the carpet. The dance practice mat had been put away, replaced by a soft, plush cashmere rug. It was more expensive, but much more comfortable. Jasmine, too, was wearing only black leggings. Her split was at a flawless angle. Her feet pointed, a picture of feminine grace. She didn't speak, not wanting to disrupt her breathing. "Yes, brother. I'm practicing too," Luna chirped, turning to join Jasmine. Cole smiled, glancing at the focused Jasmine. Seeing that she wasn't paying attention, his hand shot out mischievously. Luna trembled slightly, but didn't turn around, though her steps seemed a fraction lighter as she walked away. Cole smirked, pleased with himself. He took a couple of steps forward, but his peripheral vision caught movement at the door to the second bedroom. Yvonne, her hair a mess, had just opened the door. She was in her pajamas, her eyes still heavy with sleep. "Yvonne, if you're not awake, you should go back to sleep. Otherwise, you might start seeing things," Cole said, giving his vice president a threatening look. "I'm awake. I'm going to go wash up. Mr. Chun, is there a new toothbrush here?" Yvonne rubbed her eyes. "Tyrant," she grumbled internally. Luna piped up. "Yes, I got one for you." "Thanks, Ms. Yvonne didn't even glance at Cole as she headed for the guest bathroom. Cole glanced at the master bedroom. The comforter was rumpled, and black hair was splayed across the pillow. A certain prize piglet was still fast asleep. He sat on the sofa, leisurely admiring Jasmine and Luna. Luna's stretch was at a smaller angle, but it was much better than when she had started. It wasn't a full 180 degrees, but it was close to 150. His admiration was strategic. He made sure to watch Jasmine for a few extra moments. She would naturally feel his gaze. He could tell from her expression. Though she said nothing, the look of satisfaction and pride on her face said it all. Watching scenes like this for too long was agonizing, but it had its own unique appeal. After a while, Yvonne emerged from the bathroom, her hair neatly combed. She looked at the two women with a touch of envy, then joined them on the floor. "Ow, that hurts." She sat on the rug, her legs only able to open to about 100 degrees. Jasmine placed her foot against Yvonne's calf and helped her push, while Luna pressed against her back from behind, preventing her from retreating. Yvonne grimaced in pain. "Don't make a sound. Maintain your breathing. The pain will pass," Jasmine said, like a stern teacher. Yvonne shut her mouth and gritted her teeth. She wanted a body like Jasmine's. She wanted to be flexible. It wasn't just about staying young. It improved one's bearing, and a certain tyrant clearly had a thing for it. At the same time, this was a key part of her integration into their circle. If she couldn't even endure this pain, she'd be looked down upon. The three women stretched for several more minutes before finishing. "Cole, Luna and I are going grocery shopping. You can start the rice," Jasmine said, changing into her outdoor clothes. "I'll go too," Yvonne offered, feeling awkward doing nothing. "No need. You rest. Keep massaging your legs," Jasmine stopped her. "Well, okay then. Thank you, Ms. Yeah, Ms. Yvonne felt a little embarrassed. Her hamstrings were throbbing, and her legs trembled when she walked. "It's just grocery shopping. It's no big deal," Jasmine said with a wave of her hand, and she and Luna headed out. "Mr. Chun, I'm going to the bathroom to wash up," Yvonne said, struggling to her feet, her steps unsteady. "Go ahead. Why are you telling me?" "I'm not the bathroom monitor," Cole said, his eyes glued to his phone, monitoring the trends on Twitter. "Ugh, That's not what I meant, Yvonne shot back, a look of disdain on her face. I'd help you if you dared, she thought resentfully. The moment the bathroom door closed, the sound of slippers shuffling came from the master bedroom. Serena emerged, rubbing her eyes and yawning. The moment she saw Cole, her eyes lit up. Still drowsy, she walked over, flopped down beside him, and leaned her head on his shoulder. Cole, I'm so sleepy. I'm never drinking again. It's so bitter and gross, and it makes my head spin. Cole wrapped an arm around her, pulling her into his embrace. We won't drink next time. From now on, we can have some fruit wine or something. Okay. Serena shifted, lying down with her head in his lap. She closed her eyes, found a comfortable position, and drifted back to sleep. Cole lovingly stroked her small face. But then he saw her eyes flutter open, her expression one of mock surprise. What's this? The legendary treasure of the Eastern Sea? Cole played along with a grin. Didn't the Monkey King steal that? Let me see if this one's fake. Serena's face was a mask of innocent curiosity, but her eyes danced with mischief. Babe, Yvonne's in the bathroom, Cole reminded her, jerking his chin toward the guest bathroom. Oh, Serena remembered they weren't alone. She tilted her head up to look at the bathroom door. She could hear the sound of the shower running inside. Then she looked back up at Cole, stuck out the tip of her tongue, and squirmed petulantly. Cole felt a little nervous. He gently pinched her rosy cheek and leaned in a whisper. Be good. We can't. Some other time. No. Serena pouted like a spoiled child and bounced slightly. In the guest bathroom, Yvonne pressed her ear to the door, but couldn't hear clearly. It sounded like Serena was saying something to Cole. She let the water run, using the sound to cover any other noises while she quickly used the toilet. Once she was done showering, she didn't think much of it and pulled the door open. She froze for a second. Then she quickly slammed the door shut with a bang. That shameless tyrant. In broad daylight. And Serena. She's so bold. If Jasmine and Luna came back and saw this, there would be hell to pay. Yvonne had known Serena was daring ever since the dance competition, but she hadn't realized just how daring. Estimating that enough time had passed, she called out, I'm done showering. I'm coming out. She heard Cole's voice from outside. Come on out. Yvonne pushed the door open. Everything was back to normal. Cole was looking at his phone with a perfectly straight face. Serena was sitting demurely beside him, the very picture of a proper young lady. Her tranquil air was so convincing that Yvonne almost thought she had imagined the whole thing. Serena flashed a radiant smile. Yvonne, you're done? Yeah, I worked out a bit after getting up and got sweaty, Yvonne said, feeling a little awkward. Then it hit her. What was she so awkward about? They weren't embarrassed. Why should she be? With that thought, she instantly relaxed. Yvonne, I was just so tired. I nodded off for a bit, Serena said, her smile unwavering. Of course, you had a bit too much to drink last night. It's perfectly normal to doze off, Yvonne replied, playing along with a look of concern. Nodded off? She thought. That was more like bowing your head in fervent prayer. Ugh, I really wish I could learn from her. She sat down on Cole's other side. Cole, I'm gonna go brush my teeth, Serena chirped. Okay, Cole nodded with a gentle smile, the very picture of a refined gentleman. Yvonne sighed internally. Birds of a feather really do flock together. After a moment of dazed reflection, a lightning bolt of insight struck her. This is what it means to be truly unperturbed. Yvonne, you have to work harder. It was like a moment of enlightenment. She felt herself becoming unperturbed as well. While one part of her brain was scolding herself for being crazy, another part felt a growing sense of anticipation. The more it was like this, the more she liked it, the more she felt that Cole possessed a strange, irresistible magic. After Serena finished getting ready, the three of them chatted for a while about the annual meeting. Soon, Jasmine and Luna returned with the groceries. Cole, the simp chun, immediately jumped up to take the bags, showering them with concern. You go rest. We'll handle this. Jasmine lightly slapped her little brother's shoulder. The scoundrel had tried to sneak a squeeze of her fingers while taking the bags. Shameless. She silently chided him while secretly enjoying it. The four girls began preparing lunch together. Serena could only help with washing vegetables. She didn't even know how much water to put in the rice cooker. Jasmine wanted to tell her to go rest, but seeing her enthusiasm, she couldn't bring herself to do it, afraid of discouraging her. She let her play. The cheerful chatter of the four girls turned the winter day into a warm spring afternoon. Cole lay comfortably on the sofa, simply waiting to be fed. After a while, the aroma of cooking filled the air. Luna came out with a bowl and chopsticks, something apparently in the bowl. She walked over to Cole and picked up a piece of meat. Brother, it's braised soft-shell turtle. See how it tastes. Cole opened his mouth, then shook his head, refusing to let her put it in. He gave her a meaningful look. Luna instantly understood. She glanced nervously back at the kitchen doorway. No one was there. She quickly put the piece of turtle in her own mouth and hurried. A few seconds later, her face slightly flushed, she asked, "Is it good, brother?" "Delicious. The seasoning is perfect," Cole said with a wicked grin. Luna, both shy and happy, scurried back to the kitchen. It was a delightful meal of 5 dishes and a soup. Meanwhile, online, the video of the headline today annual meeting was spreading further and further. Boston, the Shun family residence. Outside, it was 23 degrees and snowing lightly. Inside, it was a balmy 68. Serena's uncle, David Shun's brother, was listening to his daughter talk about the video. "Dad, should we intervene? If people in our circle find out about this, they'll laugh at us." Her father's face was impassive as he silently smoked his cigarette. After a few seconds, he said gravely, "If you know, then of course they will know." The they he referred to were not ordinary people, but those of their rank and higher, including his father's generation. Others had no idea who the Shun family's children and grandchildren were, nor did they have the right to know. His daughter continued, "We should still say something? Tell Serena to be mindful of her image." "What kind of image?" Spencer walked into the living room, taking off his snow-dusted hat. He plopped down in a chair. "I saw the video. It's just a dance." "Sis, you're making a mountain out of a molehill." "Just a dance? You make it sound so easy." His older sister glared at him. "It is just a dance. What era are we in, sis?" "It's 2012, Spencer said dismissively. He continued, "The Modern Dance Club of Harvard does stuff way bolder than this. What do you have to say about that? It's all just dancing. It was just a performance for a company party." "But they didn't have to have Serena do it, did they? Couldn't they have found someone else?" His sister was still not satisfied. She added complainingly, "And Serena, too, she's so thoughtless." "Sis, the times are different. When you were in school, you had to hide when there was a kissing scene on TV. It's not like that anymore," Spencer said with a look of disgust. "Big money, big money, big money," he chanted silently in his head. "But Serena's status is different. If others find out, they'll laugh at us." His sister was getting angry. "Let me give you an example." Spencer held up a finger. "So-and-so's daughter is a movie star, a singer, and a TV actress. Did anyone laugh? That's her freedom. And what about what's-his-name's kid, who went abroad to study and got a foreign boyfriend? Did anyone laugh then? Serena has her own life choices to make. Why are you trying to control so much? I don't get you. You're just looking for trouble." "You." His sister turned away in a huff. "That's enough. What are you arguing about?" David Shun's brother finally spoke. Spencer fell silent. He dared to argue with his sister, but not with his father. "Spencer has a point," the elder Shun said, exhaling a cloud of smoke. "A dance is no big deal. If we make too much of it, people will only read more into it." "Exactly. What if other families start saying the Shuns are feudalistic?" "What will you do then, sis?" Spencer chimed in. "You be quiet too," his father scolded. "Running all over the place day in and day out. So unreliable." He had never intended to interfere in the first place. The so-called one-year moratorium on intimacy was based on human nature. A lot can happen in 365 days. If the boy turned out to be a philanderer, it would be a good chance for his niece to see his true colors. Previously, he and his brother had indeed considered applying pressure, but they had since abandoned the idea. A decision had been made at the highest levels to promote the development of internet companies. He couldn't go against that, or he risked giving his rivals an opening. The higher one's position, the more carefully one had to tread. A small matter you considered insignificant could be brought up at a critical moment, accusing you of lacking political awareness or abusing your power. It could become an obstacle to further advancement. Crucially, this matter wasn't worth such a risk. He then admonished his son, "You can run around all you want, but stay away from brick-and-mortar industries. It's too easy to get trapped." "Understand." "I know, Dad." Rockford. With winter break approaching, Jasmine no longer had classes. She was busy in her office when her phone rang. The caller ID showed a Boston number she didn't recognize. She assumed it was an employee from the Boston office with a question about insurance or payroll, so she answered. "Hello. Hello, may I speak with Ms. Young?" It was the voice of a middle-aged woman. "This is she. May I ask who's calling?" Jasmine was puzzled. The woman was clearly not an employee. "Oh yes, I'm with Starstruck Entertainment in Boston. I'm sure you're familiar with us, Ms. Young. I'm Tanya Ng, the manager of the artist department. I'd like to discuss your future development." The woman's tone held a hint of pride, as if receiving a personal call from her should be considered a great honor. "I'm sorry, I've never heard of it. Apologies, but I'm very busy. Thank you." Jasmine was about to hang up. She only occasionally went to the movies with Cole. What did she know of some starstruck entertainment? She only knew a few old movie stars. Wait, Tanya said urgently. Ms. Young, I'm offering you an opportunity, a very rare one. I'm sorry, Ms. Ing, but I really am busy. Perhaps we can talk another time. Thank you. Jasmine managed to keep her patience. Her behavior, after all, represented the company. But the woman seemed unwilling to give up. She spoke rapidly. Ms. Young, Starstruck Entertainment is interested in cultivating you as an artist. This is a rare opportunity. We seldom scout talent from outside the industry. We saw the video of your dance and believe you have a great deal of performance talent. Jasmine hung up. She didn't have time to listen to this. Her HR department oversaw the entire structure of Headline Today, Slice Video, Glow Up, Oracle QA, and the Tea Alchemist. Hiring, administration. She had a mountain of things to do. While she didn't have to do everything herself, as each company and department had its own administrative staff, she was responsible for the results. A few minutes later, in the legal center office, Serena said, "No, thank you," and hung up. "If you're looking for artists, go to the School of Arts. Why are you calling me?" Not long after, in the finance center, Luna also hung up on a similar call. It was bizarre. How did they even get her number? Cole was in his office, testing an internal beta of a new app, the initial version of Slice Video's short-form feed. A knock sounded, and Yvonne walked in. She put on a theatrical air. "Mr. Chun, someone called me. They want to recruit me as an actress. They said I have a lot of talent. Should I go?" "Go for it. We can give the VP position to that director from your marketing department. She's good," Cole said without looking up. "You're infuriating. Can't you say something nice for once?" Yvonne stomped her high heels in frustration, walked over, and plopped herself down on his desk. She turned her head to stare at the floor, fuming. "What did you tell them?" Cole asked, his eyes still glued to his phone. "I said I was busy." Yvonne was furious. "You bastard, you don't care about me at all." "Oh, so if you had been free, you would have gone?" Cole prodded. "Yeah, but I wasn't free, was I?" Yvonne, not wanting to lose face, stuck to her guns. Smack! A folder landed squarely on her rear. "Stand up straight. Sitting on the boss's desk. What kind of behavior is that? Are you that bored? Get back to work." Cole shot her a look and tossed the folder back onto the desk. The nerve of her. An actress. You. Yvonne clutched her backside, mortified. After a few seconds of internal struggle, she whispered in a coquettish, conspiratorial tone. "Couldn't you have been a little gentler? That hurt." With that, she turned and walked away, her steps so light she felt like she was walking on clouds. The anger had been slapped right out of her. Ha ha ha. He really does care about her. In his office, Cole heard a notification from his messenger. A message from the three girls popped up in their group chat. They all said some media company had contacted them about becoming artists. Starstruck Entertainment? Cole had heard the name in his past life, back when the platform was feuding with The Voice. The Voice of America was produced by this company. They had signed a few singers and actors, mostly from their competition shows. Then there was Celestial Entertainment, a subsidiary of a major media conglomerate. "You see one dance, and you come calling? Try to recruit my vice presidents to be actresses?" Cole was speechless, but he knew how these companies operated. In an era where entertainment was king, they were arrogant, assuming everyone wanted to be a star. And to be fair, a lot of people did. This only fueled their hubris. It wouldn't have been hard for them to get the girls' phone numbers. In the future, telemarketers would manage to get countless numbers. Cole knew the dance video would cause a stir. He had anticipated it. But this wasn't what he was waiting for. By evening, the intelligence gathering department sent him a report. The situation he had been waiting for had arrived. On Twitter, a major influencer named Rickshaw had posted, "The world is going downhill. It's shameful and corrupt. A so-called unicorn of the internet, a renowned company, puts on a dance like this at their annual meeting. It's simply obscene." The post included a screenshot from the dance video. It was the exact frame where he had patted Jasmine's behind. Though the lighting was dim, everyone knew it was the Headline Today meeting. The post had tens of thousands of likes and over 1,000 retweets. Cole knew, without a doubt, that other influencers would soon join the pile-on. A short while later, the three girls and Yvonne walked into his office, all of them furious. "I'm so mad. How can these people be so disgusting? His IP is in Boston. I really want to tell my grandfather." Serena fumed. "What's wrong with a dance like this? It was great. We weren't even doing the original version, and even if we were, it's not that scandalous. And we were all dressed so conservatively," Yvonne added, equally indignant. "Cole, we need to start our counterattack soon. Otherwise, these dogs will just keep barking," Jasmine said. Though angry, her tone was calm. "I bet it was those people who called about us becoming actresses. They're the ones behind this," Luna said, her eyes flashing with anger. If one of those people were in front of her right now, she'd grab a chair and smash it over their head. Don't worry, someone will fight back, Cole said, a cold glint in his deep eyes. Even if no one had called about them being actresses, this was bound to happen. There were plenty of people online who couldn't stand him. And there's another one. Look at this, it's infuriating. It says you. Yvonne trailed off. The post claimed Cole was juggling 4 women at once, a paragon of male indecency. It alleged that any female employee with even a hint of attractiveness couldn't escape his clutches, and that he'd turned a tech company into his personal harem. It compared him to the decadent kings of ancient times, calling him Cold Shun, the kidney man. Yvonne suddenly burst out laughing. So creative. Seeing the 4 of them staring at her strangely, she quickly composed herself. It just said some unpleasant things. They all knew what it said. They just didn't want to bring it up. The part about juggling 4 women was false, and the part about preying on female employees was even more baseless. The opponent was just slinging mud, reinforcing the attack on the video. They wanted to stir up the public's resentment of the wealthy and sick the internet mob on Cole. I was worried they wouldn't come. Cole smiled. He was prepared for this. This was the moment he had been waiting for. I'll go make the arrangements then, Yvonne said. Yes, let's start tonight. Cole nodded, his expression serious. Cole, we'll get to work too, the 3 girls said. They all had their tasks. With a command from Cole in the management group chat, the entire headline today network mobilized after dinner. It was going to be a long night of overtime. On Twitter, an account named UCLA Candy Dance Society posted, "At Rickshaw, what's wrong with this dance? It's a completely standard modern dance. Are you from the Dark Ages? Or is your mind just filled with antiquated malice? Our society is rehearsing this very dance, and as a modern dance enthusiast, I find your discriminatory comments deeply offensive." Then the Eastwood University Lavender Girls dance troupe posted, "At Rickshaw, I can smell your rotten, decaying stench through the screen. The filth in your brain is dictating your actions. Do you think the same thoughts when you're grinding your ugly body in a nightclub? Do you think the same thoughts when you're groping women at a karaoke bar? Do you have sisters or daughters? Probably not. Otherwise, you would be shaming them." In addition to these 2 dance societies, more and more from universities across the country began to pop up, directly attacking all the influencers who had dissed the Headline Today annual meeting. These dance societies were all real, not fake accounts created by Headline Today. All of Headline Today's managers were responsible for coordinating with a specific region. The employees each led a group responsible for liking and replying to supportive comments. This didn't even include the legions of loyal influencers who flooded the comment sections of the attacking V-list celebrities with condemnation. The war on Twitter instantly attracted countless onlookers. The battle over the dance itself was just the opening salvo. The real masterstroke was yet to come. A female finance blogger, also a major influencer, posted, "I also watched the Headline Today annual meeting video, and I thought it was fantastic. The dance had great energy. For what I know, they rehearsed it on short notice, which is very impressive. I am first and foremost a woman, and also a dance lover, though not a professional. I dance and practice yoga myself." The comments from certain individuals made me extremely uncomfortable. In essence, they are attacking women. What era is this? The 21st century. Yet some people are still living in a feudalistic past, subconsciously believing that we women should live in their shadows. This is clear from their rhetoric. If even a perfectly normal modern dance is attacked, it sends a chill down my spine. I like to ask, do you want us to start binding our feet again? I think you do. This is terrifying. I call upon all my fellow women. Let's unite. Let us seriously and severely condemn this evil ideology. Under this post, a flood of professional women and female university students poured in, liking and retweeting. Next, female leaders from other university societies posted, furiously denouncing the bloggers. How many universities were there in the country? How many dance societies? How many women's groups? While not all of them joined in, the numbers were staggering. The topic had shifted from the dance itself to discrimination against women. The Twitter accounts that had attacked Headline Today were virtually overrun. An endless stream of comments flooded their pages. Within minutes, they were forced to close their comment sections, but not before tens of thousands of scathing messages had been posted. It was impossible to delete them all. As the internet raged, Cole sat quietly in his office. He did nothing, simply waiting for a message from Wyatt. About an hour later, his phone rang. "Hey, Senior. Cole, it's confirmed. All good. I'm sending you a self-destructing file. Memorize it. The program will disappear after you view it." "Got it, Senior. I'll arrange the Bitcoin payment immediately." Cole hung up. A window popped up on his computer screen. It contained the information of a dozen people, including their home addresses, phone numbers, and personal connections. The online counterattack was just one part of the plan. He was a kind-hearted person, so he had to send gifts to their doorsteps. To build a large company, no one could be a saint, himself included. Whatever their motive, maybe they got a few $100 or a few thousand for a single post, they had to pay the price. For some people, scolding them was useless. Only pain would make them remember. In his past life, why had those famous influencers who built their careers on dissing celebrities all gone quiet? There was only one reason. They took a beating they couldn't afford to repay. There were two particularly famous ones. At first, everything was fine, and they were smug. Then, after the storm died down, they suddenly disappeared. When they re-emerged, their mouths were full of nothing but praise. But Cole wouldn't wait for the storm to pass. He believed in immediate retribution. He immediately called his lawyer Mr. Zhao. The people who had spread those rumors had to pay a price beyond just physical pain. With their personal information in hand, they couldn't even pretend they hadn't received the court summons. Cole then called Luna into his office. She was responsible for helping him with transfers. Some were in Bitcoin, others were in US dollars from his offshore company. The online missions were delegated to Felicity. That girl was a natural for this kind of work. Cole was already planning to give her a major role. The online war raged on. It even caught the attention of the authorities. The National Organization for Women issued a statement condemning the irresponsible rhetoric of certain Twitter users. Several board members of the American Association of University Women, two of whom were female entrepreneurs and classmates of Vanessa Fan, posted articles furiously denouncing the bloggers. A day later, at 2 in the morning, the Celestial Foot Spa, Artie Bell, a moderately famous Twitter influencer, had just finished a foot massage with his friends. He was laughing as he prepared to go downstairs. Your Twitter is getting roasted. Aren't you going to fight back? His chubbier friend asked with a laugh. Fight back with what? Just ignore it. It'll blow over in a while, Artie said with the expression of a seasoned troll. He was the one who had fabricated the story about Cole preying on his female employees. You sure you won't get into trouble? A guy who can make $1 billion fortune in a year can't be simple. Another, smaller friend said with concern. What's he going to do? Come bite me himself. What's there to be afraid of? The richer they are, the more they're afraid of getting dragged into this stuff. Just watch, he'll stay silent, Artie said dismissively. He emphasized, I'm telling you I know these people. They're all about maintaining their image. He had just finished speaking when 5 women rounded the corner. They looked to be in their late teens and 20s, the oldest no more than 30. The 2 younger ones were quite attractive. The oldest, who was rather tall, had a tattoo on her exposed forearm. Artie gave them a sleazy once-over, his face full of contempt, assuming they were just some local trash. The 5 women walked straight toward them, showing no intention of moving aside. They barreled forward. Artie and his 2 friends didn't move either. If they gave way to a few low-class women, they'd lose face. A delicate fist suddenly smashed into Artie's face, accompanied by an aggrieved and angry shout. Pervert! The other 4 women swarmed him. How dare you grope someone? Beat this pervert to death. Someone call the cops on this pervert. Artie didn't even have time to react before he was knocked to the ground. Weakened by too many foot massages, he had no strength to fight back. Although his attackers were women, their punches were solid, landing with meaty thuds. He howled in pain. His 2 friends stood by, conflicted. They suspected Artie might have actually made a move. He was that kind of guy, the type to accidentally brush his hand against the waitresses at a restaurant. They tried to intervene, but were easily pushed aside by 2 of the women and didn't dare to try again. These women were fierce, nothing like the timid girls and young wives they were used to. The 2 friends scurried to the side to call the police. No one from the foot spa stepped in to stop the fight. The servers and the manager watched coldly from a distance. As long as nothing was broken, the police could handle it. The manager recognized the tall woman. She was not someone to be crossed. The 5 women targeted painful areas, but were careful to avoid vital organs like the liver. They didn't utter any threats like so-and-so sends their regards. They just kept shouting, beat the pervert to death. A dozen minutes later, the police arrived. Artie was lying face down, his hair being pulled by several of the women. It looked exactly like a scene where a groper had been caught in the act. To avoid disrupting the spa's business, both parties were taken to the police station. Officer, I didn't grope anyone. Artie pleaded, his face bruised and swollen. He ached all over, including his groin. He's lying. He touched me. He even said he'd take me to a hotel. When I refused, he called me a whore. We were just customers, the 18-year-old girl shouted. I didn't. You're the one who's lying. You're framing me. Artie cried out, a bitter taste in his mouth. A strange thought suddenly occurred to him. So this is what it feels like to be framed. The argument dragged on for over 2 hours. One side claimed assault, the other denied it. The incident had occurred in a surveillance blind spot, and the testimony of Artie's two friends was not considered impartial. The police, of course, hoped for a mediated settlement. Fights were common, and as long as it wasn't a serious crime, it was best to resolve it quickly. Besides, cases like this were difficult to prove. It was hard to say whether the man had assaulted the woman or not. Finally, as dawn approached, Artie couldn't take it anymore. Both sides agreed to reconcile. The 5 women apologized and paid him $500 for his medical expenses. Later, in another location, they collected their final payment of $10,000. They had been prepared to spend 3 days in a holding cell, but were pleasantly surprised it wasn't necessary. A news alert had already hit Twitter. Man arrested at foot spa for allegedly groping female customer. Onlookers identify man as V-list influencer Artie Bell. When Cole saw the news the next day, he let out a soft chuckle. You smear me, I smear you. An eye for an eye. It's only fair. But this was just the first round. A beating didn't truly hurt unless it came in at least 3 installments. He preferred to pay in phases. Over the next few days, he saw similar news reports. 7 or 8 other V-list influencers ran into trouble. One was beaten up for bumping someone's chair at a hot pot restaurant. Another was attacked in a parking lot over a disputed space. A third was thrashed for making lewd comments to someone's girlfriend at a nightclub. In the office, Yvonne reported on the status of the Twitter war. Good. Announced that we're hosting a national modern dance competition next April. The location will be Rockford, Cole said calmly. Yes, Mr. Chun. Yvonne looked at his expressionless face, her gaze complex. She had seen the news about the influencers getting beaten up. She hadn't expected Cole to have this side to him. The entire public opinion war was his masterpiece. She was merely an executor. The online narrative was now completely dominated by women, sparking a wave of discussion about women's rights. The annual meeting video had become a sideshow, a trivial matter. A thought suddenly struck Yvonne. Did he plan this even before the annual meeting? She shuddered. It was entirely possible. She had always assumed Cole's counterattack was an impromptu decision. But now, hearing about the modern dance competition, she no longer believed that. If that was the case, Cole was truly a little terrifying. How old was he? Yet he was so calculating, so ruthless. Yvonne's train of thought was interrupted by a pair of deep, calm eyes. Cole was looking at her. Go on. What are you spacing out for? Oh, right away. Yvonne's heart pounded. She hesitated for a second, but couldn't resist asking, and Mr. Chun, was the modern dance competition planned in advance? It was one of the contingency plans, Cole said calmly. He had prepared 3 such plans for different outcomes. Since the girl group had won the public's favor, he would use the modern dance competition to expand on that victory, making the annual meeting video seem like a minor event. Of course, the most important thing was to increase headline today's fame. Yvonne was dazed again. He really did have a plan. So treacherous, so cunning, so ruthless. Noticing his vice president was frozen in place, Cole shot her an annoyed look. Are you going or not? Oh yes, I was just thinking about the competition. Yvonne snapped out of it and quickly turned to leave. At the door, she glanced back at his calm, handsome, yet indifferent face, at his dark, shining eyes. She remembered his harsh tone. An image from a dream flashed through her mind. A whip. What are you doing? You're giving me goosebumps. Another look, and I'm charging you. Cole picked up a folder, pretending he was about to hit her. Hearing this, Yvonne suddenly wasn't afraid anymore. She defiantly turned and patted her own backside. Go ahead and hit me. Then she sashayed out of the room. In his office, Cole's attention returned to the information before him. He was taking stock of his victories. Some matters were not suitable for the 3 girls to be involved in. He had to be his own strategist. If the annual meeting video had caused no ripples, his plan would have been shelved, all for nothing. Fortunately, there were always people who wanted to take a shot at him. It was hard to say if the entertainment companies were behind it, but there was definitely a shadow of other competitors. Perhaps it was all of them. Cole hadn't anticipated that the entertainment companies would approach the 3 girls and Yvonne, but he wasn't surprised. Their looks and their performance in the dance were outstanding. In this era, the entertainment industry was lucrative. A successful artist could make millions a year, but that was only for the successful ones, and many of them would later be exposed for tax evasion. The entertainment companies probably assumed that a vice president's salary wasn't that high. A 6-figure annual salary was nothing compared to that of a successful artist. They thought the allure of showbiz would be irresistible, hoping to find a few cash cows. Cole sneered. In the future, you'll be the ones begging me. He had planned to leverage feminism from the beginning. The movement had been gaining momentum since 2010. In this period, it was far from the distorted version of the future. It had genuinely elevated the status of women, and e-commerce giants, in order to cultivate the female consumer market, had been gently pushing it forward. So his move wasn't out of place. Since others used this tactic, he, Cold Shun, certainly could too. The entire incident was one giant advertisement. He was launching the initial version of Slice's short-form video feed early next year and had to attract a massive amount of attention to Headline Today as quickly as possible. Even if no one had dissed the annual meeting video, he would have had someone do it. When he got ruthless, he would even trample on himself. In this era, where a few internet giants had a near monopoly, there was no room for a saintly heart. The moment he became complacent, he would attract a pack of circling wolves. The founder of 360 Security looked like an honest man, yet he led his company to success well into the future. It was a glimpse into the nature of the game. None of them were saints. Cole pushed those thoughts aside and posted on his personal Twitter and Headline Today accounts. To all our friends in every field who care about Headline Today, I am very sorry. I originally just wanted to liven things up for my partners and show off my dance moves a little. I never expected it to cause such a huge controversy. For this, I sincerely apologize. I respect all women, and I think that is evident from the corporate structure of Headline Today. Why the apology? Because he was a good person, and for a business, that kind of goodness was a standard tool. It was common online. In the future, this brand of corporate benevolence would be ubiquitous. The comment section on his post quickly filled up. Countless women left messages of support. Of course, there were also contrarians and cynics, but they were quickly drowned in the tide of support. More high-status women continued to speak out, including dance professors from Harvard, Yale, Eastwood, and Eastwood Tech, elevating the conversation to one about the narrow-minded perception of dance. Meanwhile, in the southern state capital, Artie Bell ran into more bad luck. He was beaten up again for accidentally bumping into someone. He ended up back at the police station. This time, Artie insisted on pressing charges and refused any compensation. The male assailants were given sentences of 3 days and 24 hours in a holding cell, respectively. They sat in the cell as if they didn't have a care in the world, cheerful and unrepentant. They didn't even have to apologize. Stepping out of the police station, a cold wind made Artie shiver. He suddenly felt a twinge of fear. The bruises on his face had just started to heal, and now there were new ones. If the first time was a coincidence, was this time a coincidence too? Will there be a next time? He was furious. He wanted to immediately post on Twitter, decrying the retaliation. But where was the proof? What if next time was even worse? As soon as he got home, he found a letter, a summons from the district court. The hearing was set for February 1 SD, right after the New Year holiday. Artie was stunned. A beating wasn't enough? They were suing him too. His heart pounded with a mixture of anxiety and rage. He took a few deep breaths and then tried to contact the judge's assistant at the district court. He wanted to know which law firm the opposing counsel was from. He soon got through. After a few pleasantries, he got his answer. The lawyer's name was Zhao. He didn't recognize it. A quick online search left him dumbfounded. Good Lord. Zhao Songcheng, visiting professor at Southern University Law School, former prosecutor in a major metropolitan district, resigned from public service 3 years ago. He had been serving as the head of a legal aid organization in the state capital and was also the deputy director of the Secretariat of the Provincial Legal Affairs Office. Any lingering hope Artie had vanished. His mood was as bleak as the temperature outside. He lost his composure and screamed, "Do you have to be so dramatic? Do you?" Rockford. With the spring festival holiday approaching, the university students were all heading home. Cole attended the annual meeting for the Tea Alchemist chain. As the owner, it was his responsibility to be there. The majority of the Tea Alchemist employees were no longer college students, but working adults, mostly women. The students always had their own ambitions and wouldn't stay long-term in a tea shop. The staff had only ever known their manager, Wendy, and were shocked to learn for the first time that the real owner was the CEO of Headline Today. The number of employees was much smaller, and the meeting was over in half an afternoon. Cole stayed for dinner, going from table to table with Wendy, Megan, and Alex for toasts. After the new year, Megan would be moving to Headline Today's communications department. Alex was headed to the administrative department at Slice Video. That left Wendy to lead the whole team. After dinner, Cole called Wendy over to his car and handed her a folder. Inside were documents granting her an 8% stake in the Tea Alchemist. Legally, no shares were immune to dilution, but it could be contractually stipulated to limit dilution before an IPO. That's what the document did. "Thank you, boss." Wendy was ecstatic. 8% was a lot. The Tea Alchemist was planned for an IPO, and while that would dilute her stake, the overall value would soar. And since no one was competing for her position, the percentage didn't matter as much. You've worked hard. Keep it up. We'll start franchising within a year. I'll give you another 2% then. That should give you a good tailwind, Cole said with a smile. He hadn't had to worry about the Tea Alchemist at all when he had handled everything. She deserved 10%. He hadn't touched the company's accounts in a long time. All the profits were being reinvested into opening new stores. He technically drew a salary from the company, but he didn't pay attention to it. Only Luna knew how much money was on that other card. You're the best, boss. I'll work my hardest, Wendy shouted, joyfully waving the folder. From now on, she had roots in the Tea Alchemist. On January 21st, the 29th of the lunar calendar, headline today also closed for the holiday. Some employees had already taken leave and gone home early. A small crew was left to hold down the fort. They would receive triple pay and New Year bonuses, and their New Year's Eve dinner expenses were covered. Yvonne loaded her luggage into her car with great reluctance. What was the point of success if you couldn't show it off back home? Her large family was waiting for her. She had grown accustomed to seeing Cole every day. The prospect of being separated for more than 10 days left her feeling melancholic. But she knew she couldn't go to Cole's home. She had no standing to, and he hadn't invited her. She wasn't completely alone on her trip home, though. 2 female bodyguards from the same state were accompanying her. Cole, concerned for her safety, had made special arrangements. The thought warmed her heart. As she sat in the car, watching Rockford shrink in the distance, her heart felt suddenly empty. Golden Bay Residences, apartment 2201. Cole and the 3 girls were also preparing to go home. Luna was, of course, coming back to Linden Creek with him. They were taking the Acela train again. There were no direct flights from Rockford to his home state's capital. It was too close. The train would take them to Janning, the city near Linden Creek. Serena's uncle had arranged for a Range Rover to be waiting for them at the station. The Stone Buffalo Ridge Scenic Area had seen a huge turnaround in business and had even launched a promotional push for the spring festival tourism season. Online ticket pre-sales were excellent. Her uncle's hospitality was overwhelming, and Cole didn't refuse. The 4 attractive young people drew plenty of attention as they entered the train station. They waited for a while in the business class lounge. Their car was Car 1, which had a total of 5 business class seats. Jasmine and Luna had 2 seats side by side. Serena's single seat was across the aisle. Cole's single seat was in front of her. Next to him, a man in his 30s with glasses and huge dark circles under his eyes was resting with his eyes closed, looking exhausted. The 4 of them didn't want to disturb him, so they sat quietly until they reached Janning. They attracted a lot of stares as they exited the station. Right at the entrance, they spotted the car the Shun family had arranged. The driver was holding a sign with headline today written on it. The car was white and looked brand new, probably just purchased. Thank you for your trouble, Cole said, shaking the driver's hand with a smile. No trouble at all. It's my honor to bring the car for you, mister. Chun, the driver said, flattered, and quickly returned the handshake. Luna, Cole gave her a look. Luna immediately took a crisp $100 bill from her purse and handed it to Cole. Sir, Happy New Year, Cole said with a smile, pressing the bill into the driver's hand. The driver tried to refuse, but Cole insisted, and he eventually accepted. The thickness was nice. He quickly ushered them into the car and put their luggage in the back, standing respectfully behind the vehicle until it turned a corner and disappeared from sight. The Range Rover was spacious, and the ride was excellent. Seeing her little brother's interest in the car, Jasmine smiled. We could buy one, you know. You're due for a new car. No, sister, I still like that Audi. I'm used to it. It's especially comfortable, Cole said with a sly grin, his words loaded with a double meaning. A car was just a car. As long as Headline Today was making money, he could be driving a tractor, and people would give him a thumbs up, praising the tractor's impressive design. But the car Jasmine had given him was different. It was enchanting, a world of its own. He could cruise leisurely, admiring the scenery, or he could floor it, enjoying the thrill of extreme speed. Well, as long as you're comfortable, Jasmine replied, her mind in sync with his, a blush creeping up her cheeks. My little brother really does have good taste, she thought. All right, next time I'll let you take it up to 120. Serena, with an innocent expression, thought they were actually talking about cars. Luna bit her lip, not saying a word, as a blush spread across her face. Brother really is talking about the car. Once on the highway, they were getting closer and closer to home. Cole hadn't been back in a year, and he missed his parents dearly. He wondered if he'd get a scolding this time. He glanced in the rearview mirror. The 3 girls were chatting, their smiles like a spring day. Cole could see they were all hiding a little bit of anxiety. This trip home was bound to bring some confrontations. They all knew it, but didn't let it show, not wanting to spoil the mood. Cole himself was prepared. This new year, he would reveal his selfish side. He had to make his parents accept it, no matter what. The hardest part would be convincing Jasmine's parents. He was even prepared to get on his knees and take a slap. Jasmine would probably protect him, right? He drove the Range Rover with one hand, the other subconsciously touching his face. He'd warm it up a bit to better withstand a blow. By the time they reached Linden Creek, Serena's mood had noticeably dipped. Cole's heart ached for her, but there was nothing he could do right now. Once she was home, she would have to face it alone. Following the address she had given him, Cole pulled up to the entrance of the district apartments for the first time. Looking at the old residential complex gate, he had a flash of recognition. So this is where she lives. He had passed by here many times before. Coincidentally, Serena seemed to have the same thought. She got her luggage and came around to the driver's side window. She gave him a sweet smile and pointed to the third floor of a building by the road. "You used to walk by here. I saw you from my window. I really wanted to call out to you back then. If anything happens, tell me right away. I'll step in. If you're unhappy, just come to our home," Cole said directly, right in front of Jasmine and Luna. At this moment, the words that needed to be said had to be said. "Okay." Serena beamed. Cole had said our home, not my home. She liked that. She waved reluctantly. "I'm going in then." "Okay." Cole waved back. "See you in a few days, Serena." "Bye, Serena." The other two girls waved as well. Only after Serena had disappeared into the building did Cole drive toward his home. As the car entered the Millworks complex, many of the neighbors looked on with curiosity. A car like this was a rare sight in their small town. It belonged to the wealthy. It wasn't until the Range Rover parked downstairs from the Chin's apartment and Cole got out that they realized it was the Chun family's boy back home. Helen Chin opened the door, her face alight with joy. She ignored her son and first grabbed Jasmine's hand, then Luna's. "My dear girls, Luna, come in quickly. It's cold outside." "Auntie Helen, Auntie." Cole followed them in, wheeling 3 suitcases. The room was toasty. They had a new standing air conditioner. Helen Chun chatted with the two girls. Cole, feeling bored, started messaging Leo Hong on Facebook, asking if he'd found out who sent that anonymous letter last year. He was usually too busy, but the thought had resurfaced today. Leo replied, "Found out. Maddie mentioned it. At the class reunion, Tyler was bragging that you were going to be in big trouble soon. When she asked why, he clammed up. It was probably him. I'm still looking for proof." Cole typed back, "Leo, don't worry about proof. That's enough. It had to be him." Leo asked, "So what's the plan?" "Beating him up probably isn't a good look for you." Cole smiled. "Beating him up is useless. I'll think of something else." Around 8 that evening, Cole's father and Jasmine's parents, the Yangs, got off work. After welcoming Cole, Jasmine saw her mother give her a look. She knew it was time for her to go home for a talk. She followed them out. Cole knew what was happening. Mr. and Mrs. Yang were going to question Jasmine. It was up to her now to advocate for him. At the Yang residence, John Yang set up the electric heater. Then he and his wife sat on the sofa, looking at their daughter, who was seated on the opposite side of the coffee table. Mary Yang sighed. "Jasmine, what's the situation?" "Yes, tell us what you're thinking. Otherwise, we don't know what's going on, and we're just sitting here worrying," John Yang said with a sense of helplessness. The rumors were getting more and more outrageous. Cole was juggling 3 women, and they were all living in harmony. They believed in their daughter, but they had never imagined this outcome. Jasmine looked up at the ceiling, then let out a heavy breath. She looked at her parents. "Dad, Mom, it's a long story." "Wait, I understand it's a long story, but what you're saying, it sounds like you're admitting it." Her mother interrupted anxiously. "Mom, I know what you're thinking. It's complicated. Can you just listen to me, please?" Jasmine offered a small smile. John and Mary Yang exchanged a look. "Fine, talk. I'll break it down into 3 points. First, Cole's total net worth is now close to $200 million. Luna told me." Jasmine's own eyes held a complex mix of emotions. If Luna hadn't told her, she wouldn't have known. She had never bothered to calculate it. The profits from Slice Video were enormous, on top of the continuous ad revenue from Headline Today. There was also the cut from influencer donations and the promotional fees paid by ordinary users. The leap from tens of millions to nearly 200 million hadn't taken long at all. It was stunning. And according to Cole's plan for the next year, the Headline Today ecosystem was going to become a behemoth. John and Mary Yang's jaws dropped. 200 million. That was terrifying. That little kid, they knew now, had $200 million. Second, there are so many women trying to get to Cole. The entire university. And that's not even counting the ones from outside. Jasmine's face clouded with frustration. She wished for a simple, 2-person life, but she couldn't fend them all off alone. Yvonne alone had blocked countless women trying to get close to him, all wanting to pay a visit, all stopped at the business center. Having Serena and Luna by his side also deterred many other girls. There were even women in their late 20s who tried to seduce him during business dinners, and university administrators who tried to introduce him to their own relatives. And the chance encounters on the street. If Cole didn't always have someone by his side, who knows what would have happened? She gave several examples, including Sabrina Ning. Her parents listened, looking at each other in stunned silence. But they understood the situation. Cole was not even 20, handsome, tall, and rich. He was the ultimate diamond bachelor. Third, Jasmine's voice dropped. Cole can't be without a son. This plunged John and Mary Young into silence. On this point, they felt they had wronged Cole's parents. They had never brought it up. They weren't sure if their daughter could have a son. The doctors hadn't given a definitive answer. They had wanted to say something several times, but couldn't bring themselves to do it, not wanting to ruin the young couple's relationship. They figured that since money wasn't an issue and they weren't seeking anything, all that mattered was the two of them being happy. No one in the room spoke. After a long silence, Jasmine's tone became lighter. Dad, Mom, Cole is very, very good to me. He listens to everything I say. I'm very happy, very content. Life isn't perfect, just like Mom's and my health. Cole's business will only get bigger and bigger. He cherishes me, and I have to cherish him. This is my choice. John and Mary Young remained silent. It was a heart-wrenching dilemma. They wanted their daughter to be happy with Cole, but they also wanted her to be the only one. Yet, reason reminded them that it would be difficult. Jasmine returned to Cole's place almost immediately. She couldn't let Luna sleep there alone. The female heart was a complex thing. Even with their unspoken agreement, jealousy was a constant, simmering companion. That bed was for her and Cole, or her and Luna. It was absolutely not for any other woman to share with Cole, especially not for that. Jasmine didn't say anything, and Cole didn't ask. His parents, Helen and Don, didn't say anything either, not with Luna right there. Cole slept on the sofa as usual. Regrettably, there was no late-night snack this time. The next morning, just as the family was finishing breakfast, there was a knock on the door. It was still early. Who could it be? Cole went to open it and found several older men standing in the hallway. They wore black overcoats or black quilted jackets. Their faces were affable, but they carried the unmistakable air of authority. "Hello, Mr. Chun," the man in the lead said, extending a hand. He was the picture of a seasoned politician, his eyes betraying not a hint of condescension for Cole's youth. "I'm Zhang Lin, the mayor. I apologize for the unannounced visit." Cole quickly shook his hand. He knew the name, the #1 official in his hometown. "Mayor Zhang, a pleasure. Please come in." A woman in her 40s standing next to him also extended a hand, smiling. "Mr. Chun, hello. I'm Laura Liu from the town council. I'm so sorry to drop in like this." "Councilwoman Liu, of course, of course." Cole welcomed her in as well. Behind them were the town manager and another councilman. For a group of their age and stature to come calling first thing in the morning showed a remarkable willingness to set aside their pride. It was no wonder Linden Creek was on track for development in the coming years. He ushered them into the living room. When the officials saw Jasmine and Luna, they paused for a moment. Councilwoman Liu's face broke into a knowing smile as she stepped forward. "You two must be Ms. Yang and Ms. Of headline today." They'd clearly done their homework. They also knew there was a vice president of legal affairs named Shun, whose mother was the director of the city's education bureau. But the Shun family's daughter was untouchable. Jasmine and Luna had already stood up, shaking hands and greeting them with poised confidence. The two women were a world away from who they used to be. They weren't flustered in the presence of local leaders. It was actually Helen Shun who got flustered, bustling around to make tea. "Oh, Helen, please don't trouble yourself. You sit, you sit." Councilwoman Liu quickly tried to wave her off. I must. You're our guests. Please sit. I'll get the tea," Helen insisted, heading straight for the kettle. Jasmine and Luna got up to help her. The officials exchanged glances, their eyes filled with a complex mix of emotions. Only a man like this one could command such a coterie of remarkable women. Once everyone was seated, Cole didn't press them for their purpose. He chatted amiably, letting them lead the conversation, wearing a humble expression as he listened to their praise. He knew why they were here. They wanted investment. After a while, the mayor and the councilwoman shared a look. Councilwoman Liu smiled and began, "Mr. Chun, we know your time is valuable. Well, it's like this. As you know, Linden Creek has no heavy industry. We're in a hilly region, so agriculture and livestock can't become our primary economic drivers. Our tourism resources are also limited. Right now, we're just getting by on a few light industries. We I'm asking, with all due respect, if you would consider Linden Creek for the sake of your hometown, if any investment opportunities arise. At that moment, the faces of the town's old guard were tense, their expectant eyes filled with a nervous hope. If he refused, they could only leave in disappointment. Cole didn't answer immediately, feigning deep thought. Seeing him hesitate, Mayor Zhang quickly added, Mr. Chun, you don't have to worry about policy. Land, utilities, we can offer you the lowest possible rates. And if you invest in a local company, we can provide favorable tax incentives. For the town's top official, this was an incredibly sincere offer. To win Cole over, they were putting everything they could on the table. Linden Creek had produced only one person of his stature. They couldn't afford to miss this chance. When Cole still didn't speak, a flicker of disappointment crossed their faces. It seemed like a lost cause. And why wouldn't it be? Why would a massive internet company invest in a small town like this? They had discussed it in their town hall meetings, but had only been holding onto a sliver of hope. Just as they thought it was over, Cole spoke. Mayor Zhang, Councilwoman Liu, esteemed leaders. An investment is possible. Their spirits instantly soared, their faces flushing with excitement. Cole continued with a faint smile. I've been planning to build a new data center and haven't settled on a location. Since you're all so sincere, putting it in Linden Creek isn't out of the question. As you know, my main operations are in Rockford, which is a bit of a drive. To build here would be a major commitment for me, and the costs would be higher. Cole was bluffing. He had always intended to build it in Linden Creek. Once the initial version of Slice Video went live, the server load would become increasingly tight. A data center was a necessity. It didn't need to be massive at first. He could add more equipment as his capital grew, but it had to be built. Additionally, he went on, I also plan to invest in Spicy Mama's Foods, expanding its production capacity fivefold and increasing our procurement of soybeans, chili peppers, and meats. The officials were overjoyed. They didn't fully understand what a data center was, but they knew it would boost the local service economy, and the demand for soybeans, peppers, and meat would create a significant number of jobs in Linden Creek. Spicy Mama's was already doing well, but its capacity was limited. A factory with a few hundred workers wasn't small, but it wasn't huge either. A fivefold expansion was a game-changer. Mr. Chun, the mayor and the councilwoman shot to their feet with excitement. The mayor declared, Mr. Chun, whatever you require, just ask. If Linden Creek can provide it, we will. Please sit. If you stand, I'll have to stand as well, Cole said with a laugh. Once they were seated again, he calmly continued, I'll definitely take you up on the policy incentives. But I have one small request. Please tell us, Councilwoman Liu said eagerly. It's like this, Cole began, a slight, almost predatory smile on his lips. There's a gravel pit in Linden Creek. The owner's last name is Liu. His son mailed a slanderous letter to the home of the director of the Rockford Education Bureau. That is to say, to her family. The official's expressions shifted for a fraction of a second before returning to normal. The owner's name was Liu, but he was no relation to Councilwoman Liu. He was, however, related to another councilman. They all knew about the gravel pit. A slanderous letter? Mailed to the city's top education official? What could it have possibly said? A flash of understanding shot through their minds. What else could it be but the rumors circulating online? They looked at each other. Cole remained silent, that same smile playing on his face. Mayor Zhang's expression hardened. He said decisively, I know this gravel pit. We've had public complaints for a long time about their illegal dredging in the river, which has created numerous deep pits. I've heard children have been endangered there in the summer. Not only are they destroying the environment, but they're also creating a public safety hazard. A cancer like that should have been removed long ago. The mayor is right. I agree. Councilwoman Liu raised her hand. Mayor Zhang is correct, the town manager echoed, raising his hand as well. The others followed suit. But Mayor Zhang wasn't finished. He continued gravely. Councilman Liu is getting on in years. His duties have become too burdensome, to the point that he has neglected to restrain his own relatives. This is a violation of organizational discipline. The mayor is right. Councilman Liu has worked hard for so long. It's time he retired and enjoyed his later years, added the deputy mayor, who was also head of the personnel department. Cole watched them, his face a mask of admiration. Such gumption, esteemed leaders. With no one dredging the river illegally, it will be a great thing for Linden Creek. When the time comes, I'll arrange for my people to come and sign a letter of intent for the investment. The gravel pit was history. The deal was done. Mr. Chun, it's a deal. Not only did Mayor Zhang stand up, but Councilwoman Liu also rose to her feet. The other officials followed. If Spicy Mama's expanded, supplying it with raw materials would be a gold mine. Farming, ranching, processing, it would all require labor. The benefits were obvious. When Linden Creek developed, their own careers would advance. At their age, they could still climb higher up the political ladder. What was one tax-evading gravel pit in comparison? They'd shut down 10 of them for this opportunity. Anyone who stood in the way was an enemy. And this young man also had the Shun family's daughter in his employ. When word of his decisive investment in Linden Creek reached David Shun's ears, it would undoubtedly earn him a few good words. Distinguished leaders. As the head of Headline today, I give you my word. It's a deal. Cole also stood up, shaking their hands with solemn finality. The top two officials in a town were often at odds, jockeying for power. It was rare to see them working in concert. But this time, to gain Cole's support, they had united. It showed real courage. Cole felt a genuine sense of respect for them. And just like that, it was settled. He had done his part for the safety of his hometown. When he walked the officials downstairs, they drew plenty of stares from the neighbors. Helen Chun, following behind, was beaming with pride. The looks of envy and admiration from her neighbors were a balm to her soul. In a small town like this, there was no greater status symbol than a visit from the local leadership. At the district apartments in Rockford, Serena had been shut in her room for a day and a night. The previous evening, her mother had tried to talk to her, asking about the online rumors and the video from the annual meeting, saying some rather unpleasant things. Serena had retreated to her room and stayed there. After getting used to a life of happiness and ease, she found it difficult to readjust to this kind of high-pressure environment. Why couldn't people just be happy? Why did they have to inflict misery on themselves? Outside her door, David Shun knocked gently. "Serena, honey, time for breakfast." "I'm not hungry, Dad." Hearing his daughter's voice, David Shun stopped knocking, a trace of helplessness in his eyes. The relationship between mother and daughter had become strained ever since that incident. When she'd first come home yesterday, things had been superficially fine. But after a short, tense conversation, she had gone silent and hadn't come out of her room since. David felt a lingering resentment toward Cole. If it weren't for this kid, his family might still be the way it was before. But the paradox was that his daughter's spirits were genuinely better than they had been in years. Her face glowed, her skin radiant. Her eyes had a new spark of life. She seemed more mature. He had seen the dance video, too. It was impossible to miss. As a prominent public figure, he had plenty of political opponents. Someone was bound to make sure he saw it, one way or another. Not to mention the second anonymous letter that had arrived a few days ago. When he saw Cole pat his daughter's rear end, he had been genuinely furious. But what could he do? His daughter was grown. She was no longer his little baby. She had her own life. Everyone now knew that David Shun's daughter was the vice president of legal affairs at Headline today. That part wasn't so bad. It wasn't like she was doing business in Rockford, so no one could accuse him of nepotism. It was just painful to watch. David forced himself to accept the fact that his daughter was an adult. But the thought of her and two other girls revolving around one man made his stomach churn. The rumors were ugly. His only consolation was that his daughter was still a virgin. That at least proved that Cole respected her. Their relationship might be unusually close, but he hadn't taken advantage of her. A strange feeling washed over him. He was almost envious of Cole. If he, David Shun, hadn't gone into politics, he might have been even more of a ladies' man than this kid. But he doubted he would have achieved as much. David's heart was a knot of contradictions. He was resentful, yet admiring. It was utterly baffling. His wife, Helen, walked up behind him. "Is she still not coming out?" "Let her be. She'll come out when she's hungry," David said, walking back to the sofa. Outside, the sound of children setting off firecrackers and laughing filled the air. Suddenly, he thought of the past. Even on the eve of major holidays, his daughter would be in her room, buried in homework, never coming out to play. He had countless times seen her gazing wistfully out the window, only to turn back with a placid, obedient expression. An unexpected weight settled in his chest. He remembered his own youth, when he and Helen had traveled, ridden the carousel at amusement parks, gone to discos, visited the zoo, even traveled abroad. Then Helen had taken him to see the flag raising in the Capitol. And his daughter? She had only been to the zoo twice in her entire life, each visit limited to 2 hours. After that, she said she didn't want to go anymore. A sharp, piercing pain stabbed at David's heart. So, was this situation not entirely of his and his wife's making? His daughter was like a bird freed from a cage. Who was there to blame? She was grown now, and the chance to make up for it was gone. For a moment, David was overwhelmed with melancholy. He heard his wife say, "I'm going to get her." What is this, stay in her room all day? Don't. Just let her be. David said, raising a hand to stop her. We had to talk about that dance. What's the meaning of it? Helen said urgently. It's just a dance. David waved his hand dismissively. Don't overthink it. How can I not overthink it? You've heard what people are saying. I think we need to transfer her to another school as soon as possible. This can't continue. Helen's face was set. Transfer where? She's fine as she is. As long as Serena is happy. That's all that matters, David said, a wave of irritation washing over him. What do you mean, fine? Revolving around one man? Is that what you call fine? You're a man. Is this what you want to? You. Helen's voice grew louder, but before she could finish, David's phone rang sharply. He glanced at the caller ID. It was his assistant. He answered immediately. Yes, Commissioner Shun. The Linden Creek Town Hall just reported an issue. What is it? The deputy councilman in Linden Creek, Lou, has been found to be protecting a relative's illegal gravel dredging operation. It's causing environmental damage and endangering swimmers and fishermen. He's also been profiting handsomely while evading taxes. Furthermore, he's used organized thugs to threaten others, monopolize the market, and engage in strong-arm sales tactics. The town council says they've warned him to rectify the situation multiple times to no avail. After discussion, they've decided to shut down the gravel pit to create a better environment for economic development in Linden Creek. At the same time, the town's ethics committee is opening an investigation into Deputy Councilman Lou. Understood. Just tell them I'm aware of it. Handle it as required, but make sure you have evidence and follow procedure. Yes, sir. Understood. David hung up and rubbed his temples. Linden Creek was moving on this with extreme urgency. They weren't even letting the upcoming New Year's holiday slow them down. Something special must have happened. To create a better environment for economic development, David immediately thought of Cole. Who else could it be? That kid was going to invest, wasn't he? Linden Creek had only ever produced one cold shun. But why go after a small gravel pit? What kind of grudge was this? An idea sparked in David's mind. Ignoring his wife, who was about to speak, he walked to his daughter's door and knocked again. Serena, do you know about that gravel pit in Linden Creek? I do. Her voice came from inside. It's owned by a classmate's family. Why, Dad? Oh, well, it's about to be shut down. David instantly connected the dots. It was Cole. A feud between classmates? Or, Serena, is Cole planning to invest in Linden Creek? The next moment, the door swung open, revealing his daughter's puzzled face. How did you know, Dad? Humph. So you're even keeping secrets from your old man now, David grumbled, a little stung. It wasn't confirmed yet, so I couldn't say anything, Serena said, glancing at her mother sitting on the sofa. I see, David said, a thoughtful look on his face. See what? We received 2 anonymous letters a few days ago. Anonymous letters? About what? About you and that kid, Cole. I was thinking the person who sent them must be in Linden Creek. I guess this solves the case. What? Serena's face clouded with anger. Dad, don't listen to that nonsense. What a horrible person. Smart as she was, she immediately knew who it was. That psycho. What business was it of his? He was just asking for trouble. Dad, a gravel pit like that deserves to be shut down. They're destroying the riverbed, digging pits everywhere. You have to worry about falling into one, just going for a swim. Yes, it should be shut down, David said, a cold glint in his eye. Meddling in other people's business, causing trouble everywhere, daring to stir up dissent in the commissioner's own family. Still, his daughter's fierce loyalty was a bit much. She didn't even swim. Why was she so concerned about people falling into pits? It left a sour taste in his mouth. That feeling of his prize cabbage being stolen by a pig resurfaced. Suppressing his feelings, he went to the kitchen and dialed his assistant's number. Relay a message to the Linden Creek Town Council. A positive investment climate is crucial. They need to build an ironclad case and make an example of this. It must demonstrate Linden Creek's determination to pursue development. Understood, sir. On the other side of the door, Serena had closed it again. She had seen her mother looking like she was about to pounce. That afternoon, in the private room of karaoke bar, Tyler Lou was drinking and singing with a few classmates and some friends he knew from around town. The air was thick with smoke, and the floor was littered with betel nut residue and cigarette butts. A dozen empty beer bottles sat on the table. 2 guys were shaking dice, shouting at the top of their lungs. The loser was forced to take a gulp of beer from a tattooed young woman sitting nearby. Tyler leaned back, feeling like a king. Tyler, come on, toast to you. I'll down mine. You do as you please, a friend from elementary school said, raising a glass. Huh. All right, bottoms up. Tyler was ecstatic. Although he had drifted apart from some classmates, there were still those who treated him like the boss. He had just taken a sip when his phone rang. The cheesy love song ringtone sounded particularly frantic today. Annoyed, he picked it up. It was his mom. "What is it?" "I'm busy." His mother's anxious shouting came through the phone. "Busy with what?" "Your father's been arrested. Go to the town hall and find your great-uncle now." "Arrested? What are you talking about? Are you trying to trick me into coming home again?" Tyler didn't take it seriously. His mother had used that lie before. "Just go. This is serious." The gravel pit's been shut down, his mother wailed through the phone. Tyler's smile froze on his face. This couldn't be real. "Go now. Find your great-uncle." "I'm going to find Councilman Lou," his mother screamed like a madwoman. "Oh, okay." Tyler's face went pale, his heart pounding. He hung up, feeling completely lost. He'd never dealt with anything like this before. What should he do? Oh, right, the town hall. He scrambled to his feet. "Hey, Tyler, where are you going?" a few classmates asked in surprise. "You guys carry on. I have to make a call." Tyler mumbled distractedly and hurried out. Half an hour later, he emerged from the town hall, looking utterly defeated. His great-uncle had been taken in for questioning by the ethics committee. How could this be happening? It was almost New Year's. A moment later, he saw his mother walking out, her chubby face ashen. She was muttering to herself, "It's over. It's all over." "What happened?" "Mom, it'll be okay. We didn't break any laws," Tyler said, clinging to a sliver of hope. "You don't understand." The plump woman shook her head, not wanting to explain further. Her son wouldn't get it anyway. The gravel pit business could be a big deal or a small one. Small enough for people to turn a blind eye. Big enough to get you arrested immediately. She just never expected it to be so sudden. "Tyler, drive me to the city. I need to ask the city manager's wife what's going on." Okay. Mother and son rushed to Rockford to visit the city manager's home. But the wife, with whom she had often played mahjong, refused to see them, claiming she wasn't feeling well. She hung up after a few brief words, and they never even saw her face. The woman's face turned a sickly green. She realized this situation was probably irreversible. "Mom, what do we do?" Tyler was on the verge of tears, completely at a loss. "What can we do? I told you to stop fooling around all day. What are you crying for, you little brat?" the woman screamed. "Mom, don't yell at yourself," Tyler said, his mind a complete blank, not knowing what to say. Thwack! The woman slapped him on the back of the head. "Useless. Go home. Get your uncles together and figure out who we pissed off." Okay. Mother and son rushed back to Linden Creek. In the car, the woman furiously threw her phone. Fine. All of you stay away." The gravel pit's accounts had been frozen. Her own account, which had received multiple transfers from her husband, was also frozen. She just couldn't figure it out. Her husband wasn't usually that arrogant. Who could he have offended? She suddenly glanced at her son in the driver's seat. "Tyler, did you offend someone?" "What?" "No." Tyler denied it instinctively, but his heart skipped a beat. It couldn't be, could it? It's not that serious, right? And there's no way he could know it was me. But a mother knows her son. The plump woman knew exactly what kind of person her son was. She roared in frustration. "Say no one more time. I won't say anything while you're driving, but when we get home, you're going to tell your uncles everything you've been up to." Tyler's heart pounded in his chest, his usual swagger completely gone. A subconscious feeling told him it was very possible. How else could it be such a coincidence? The moment Cole Chun came back, the gravel pit ran into trouble. When they got home, a roomful of relatives was waiting. All eyes were on Tyler. They all knew the gravel pit hadn't caused any recent trouble. As long as no one died, nobody cared. The only possible source of the problem was their nephew, who drove around all day, living a carefree life. Under the pressure, Tyler stammered, I don't know if it's because of that." "Spit it out. What did you do?" The plump woman was so angry her chubby face trembled. I reported Cole Chun from Headline today. My classmate." A shiver ran down Tyler's spine. "Reported him? You reported your classmate? What exactly happened? Tell us in detail." Tyler's eldest uncle demanded, frowning. After a long moment, slap. His maternal uncle slapped him across the face, furious. "Are you sick in the head? You have nothing better to do than stir up shit? The guy's huge now. What does his life have to do with you? And you fucking reported him to the Shin family? You're so stupid you might as well be dead. Your mom's not too old. She can have another one." "Uncle, I didn't know it would turn out like this," Tyler mumbled, clutching his face. His first instinct was to lash out, but seeing the grim expressions on his other uncles' faces, he didn't dare. His mother was trembling with rage, gasping for air. Go apologize to your classmate. Do whatever it takes. Make him calm down. Otherwise, you're no son of mine." "Mom, how am I supposed to go? I never told anyone it was me. They have no proof. Am I supposed to just go and confess?" When it came to protecting himself, Tyler suddenly found his wits. "You idiot. What proof do they need? Huh? Didn't you see your father get arrested? And your great-uncle's family got dragged into it too, his eldest uncle screamed, jabbing a finger at his nephew's nose. Under pressure from all his relatives, Tyler tried to contact Cole through Facebook Messenger. He'd been blocked. He then tried Serena. Blocked there too. His mother couldn't stop herself and slapped him on the head again. Idiot. This is all your fault. Let's go. We're going to the Chins to apologize. Meanwhile, at the Young residence, Cole was sitting before John and Mary Young. He had been summoned, and Jasmine had been explicitly forbidden from coming with him. Is your sister not good to you? John Yang's voice was cold. No matter how much he liked this boy, he had to get to the bottom of this. Last night, his daughter had dodged the issue and run off. Regardless of the 3 points she had made, as parents, they had to take a stand. This kind of thing couldn't be tolerated. Otherwise, would there be a 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th girl in the future? She's good to me, Cole said, his head hung low. Good? Is this how you treat her? Mary Young turned her face away, seething. Cole was at a loss for words. No matter how he spun it, he was in the wrong. There was nothing he could say. Cole, we trusted you so much. We believed you would take care of your sister, John Young sighed. But now, how can I be at ease? Cole, we don't care how much money you have. If we were after money, you two would never have grown up together, Mary Young said, glancing at him. Don't think that just because you're rich, you can do whatever you want. Do you have any idea what your behavior looks like? Cole kept his head down, taking the lecture obediently. He had to wait until John and Mary had said their piece. Only then would it be his turn to speak. The couple took turns, sternly scolding him. They reasoned with him, explaining the gravity of his mistake. When they seemed to have said enough, they exchanged a look. Mary Young spoke. Cole, I'm giving you a choice. Either you commit to your sister and live a proper life with her, or you two separate. It's better than your sister being neglected by you and living in misery. Cole's body tensed. Living without Jasmine was absolutely not an option. He looked up, his gaze calm but filled with respect. No, Uncle John, Aunt Mary, I can agree to anything else but not this. Absolutely not. Then treat your sister right and stay away from the others, John Young said firmly. Uncle John, Aunt Mary, at this point, some things can't be undone. Turning back would only hurt people. In the end, Jasmine and I would be left with emotional scars, and we wouldn't be happy either. So you have the heart to hurt your sister? Mary Young glared at him. Cole's tone was level, his expression utterly serious. I will never hurt her, but I have indeed wronged her, and for that, all I can say is that I will love her for the rest of my life. She's my life. No, she's more important than my life. Everything I do, everything I have is hers. She will always be the most important part of my life. And a part of the headline today, Empire. Uncle John, Aunt Mary, I'm sure you understand what I mean. In another year, 2 at most, I will turn headline today into a behemoth. Its assets will be 100 times what they are now. I need people I can trust to control key positions. I don't trust anyone else, but I can promise you, there won't be any others. Hearing this scoundrel's speech, John and Mary Young didn't know what to feel. On the one hand, they were angry, but Cole truly did seem to love their daughter. He let her hit him, curse him, and still followed her around like a puppy. On the other hand, he was a philanderer, but what truly silenced them was the last part of his speech. 100 times bigger? The thought was terrifying. The company was already frighteningly large. If it really grew 100-fold, he would indeed need fiercely loyal deputies. People like them couldn't help. They barely understood the internet. The couple fell silent. Cole knew he had said what he needed to. Saying more would only complicate things. He too remained quiet. The room was steeped in silence. Cole, John Young finally spoke, his voice thick with emotion. He, a proud, strong man, was suddenly choked up. You've truly made it now. I have no right to criticize you on your achievements. I just want to ask one thing of you. His lips trembled, his face crumpled. Tears welled in his eyes as he spoke in fits and starts. You have to love your sister. If one day you don't love her anymore, don't hurt her. You have to give her back to me in one piece. We were useless. We let her suffer this injustice. We don't want a penny of your money. You can even take the factory shares. This one thing. John Young broke down, sobbing. He wiped his eyes and walked into the bedroom, closing the door behind him. Cole froze, a wave of profound apology washing over him. His eyes turned red, stinging with unshed tears. Cole, remember your uncle's words. We want nothing from you, Mary Young said, wiping away a tear of her own. You should go. We said what we needed to say. I'm not well. This has been too upsetting. I need to rest. Cole lowered his head, took a deep breath, and looked at the closed bedroom door. He said to Mary, Aunt Mary, I'll remember. I'll go now. Yes, go. She didn't look at him. Filled with guilt, Cole bowed his head and left. As soon as the front door closed, the bedroom door opened again. John Young poked his head out. He's gone. Gone. Did he feel guilty? Yes, I think so. Good. He needs to feel guilty often. Can't let him have it so easy. John's eyes were still a little red. Hiss. I didn't rub this ginger on right. It stings. Quick, give me some water to wash my eyes. Mary brought him some water. As she helped her husband wipe his eyes, she said, we need to get Jasmine to have a baby soon. Boy or girl, it doesn't matter. The firstborn is what's important. The eldest gets the most of the father's love. Once there are more kids, Cole won't be able to pay as much attention. She has to graduate first. Having a baby while she's still in school would disrupt things. Downstairs from the Chen's apartment. Just as Cole arrived, he saw the people he least wanted to see. Tyler Liu and a portly woman. Cole! Cole! Tyler jogged over. Can you please talk to the town council for me? I'm begging you. Who are you? Cole frowned. He was already in a bad mood, and now this. It's me, Tyler Liu. I know who you are. You still owe me a pile of shit to eat? I remember. My dad's been arrested. Can you? Your dad got arrested? What's that got to do with me? Why are you looking for me? I didn't arrest your dad. Well, no, but it's... Tyler wanted to say it, but the words wouldn't come out. The plump woman got out of her car and walked over, a broad smile on her face. Young. Mr. Chen, I'm so sorry. I should have come to pay my respects sooner. I just been so busy. As she spoke, she was utterly shocked. She couldn't believe it. The handsome young man in front of her, dressed in unremarkable clothes, was a multimillionaire, and her son's classmate. She concealed her shock and put on a placating smile, hoping to find an opening. Don't. Ma'am, you've got the wrong person. I'm not any Mr. Chun, Cole said, waving his hands dismissively as he walked toward the building entrance. I have urgent business. Whatever you're here for, I can only say, you're looking for the wrong guy. The woman's face froze. He was refusing to even talk, and he was being brutally direct about it. Cole, we're classmates. Are you really going to be this ruthless to a classmate? Tyler shouted, unwilling to give up. Cole stopped and turned around. His calm, placid eyes held a sliver of ferocity. He let out a short, cold laugh. You fucking remember we're classmates now? Now you remember we're classmates. Where were you before? And you have the nerve to come find me? Go home and think about what you've done. I have no idea what you're talking about. This is absurd. I'm coming back down in a bit. If I see you here again, I'm calling the cops for harassment. With that, Cole turned and walked into the building without a backward glance. He had no need for a classmate like that. If they hadn't provoked him, their gravel pit business would have had nothing to do with him. But since they insisted on being shit stirs, he had no choice but to be merciless. Tyler stood there, pale and stunned. His mind was buzzing. It was over. A million regrets flooded his heart. If he had known, why did he ever mess with him in the first place? He glanced at the gossiping neighbors nearby, then at his mother. Tyler felt a wave of panic, not knowing what to do. What are you looking at? Go home. You worthless brat. Look at him. Then look at you. You'll be the death of me one day. The plump woman roared in shame and anger. She shouldn't have come. Who knew that appealing to their shared history as classmates would provoke such a strong reaction? Her son couldn't even speak properly. It was infuriating. It seemed hopeless now. Her husband would probably be released soon, but the gravel pit was finished. They'd have to pay fines, back taxes. And Councilman Liu, even though he was a relative, would probably hate their family from now on. Their good life was over. When he got home, he saw that the New Year's couplets had already been put up. Jasmine and Luna were in the kitchen preparing lunch. His parents were gone, probably out buying something. Jasmine was wearing an apron and sleeve protectors, slicing cured meat. The line of her jaw was as exquisite and perfect as ever, clearly defined against the backdrop of her black turtleneck sweater. The diamond necklace hung over her prominent chest. Her long eyelashes curled slightly upward as she focused on the knife. Her slender, pale fingers were a little red, probably from washing vegetables in cold water. Sensing his gaze, Jasmine turned her head, and a tender smile spread across her lips. Her beautiful, brilliant eyes were filled with a gentle, soothing comfort. She had obviously guessed that someone had just gotten a lecture. Cole stared, mesmerized, and grinned back. Jasmine was so beautiful. He couldn't help but pucker his lips and blow a kiss through the air. Jasmine shot him a sideways glance. The look was a mix of playful reproach and seductive charm, a charm that held a hint of deep satisfaction. Then she turned back to her work, concentrating on slicing the meat, ignoring her lecherous little brother. Luna was squatting on the floor, pinching the stems off chili peppers. Her black hair was tied up in a bun, revealing the diamond earrings on her white ears. A cream-colored turtleneck hugged her ample chest. Squeezed by her knees, the fabric bulged noticeably. She looked up and gave him a sweet smile. When she noticed where Cole's greedy gaze was fixed, she glanced down and blushed. She quickly straightened up, putting a little distance between her chest and her knees. She looked at Cole again, her bright black eyes full of shy amusement. Cole couldn't resist puckering his lips and blowing her a kiss too. Luna pressed her lips together tightly and glanced quickly at Jasmine. Seeing that she hadn't turned around, she boldly puckered her own small lips and blew a kiss back to Cole. Then she bared her head and happily got back to work. Cole smiled contentedly. This life was amazing. He was almost envious of himself. One was sophisticated and elegant, occasionally sexy and alluring. The other was gentle and shy, occasionally passionate and fiery. And he thought there was one more, usually cool and distant, but capable of turning into a whimpering little baby in an instant. It was a shame she couldn't be here. Thinking of Serena, Cole felt a pang of sympathy. She had told him on Messenger that she was all alone in her room. This New Year's was probably not much fun for her. Cole's mind flashed to the face of his vice president, Yvonne Wang. Having returned to her hometown in glory, he couldn't imagine how full of herself she must be. She was probably surrounded by a crowd of relatives and neighbors. At that moment, in the city of Luoyang, Hunan province, the temperature was a few degrees above freezing, the air dry and cold. In a rural township, inside a large brick house with a spacious courtyard, Yvonne Wang, the great vice president, was being showered with attention. The younger generation was gathered around her, asking all sorts of questions. Her own brother and sister, her cousins, the kid from next door, a huge crowd. Two of the neighbor boys looked at her with a longing gaze that now held a sense of unreachable distance. The elders sat on the other side, another large circle of people. Her parents were the center of this circle, basking in the envy of their relatives and neighbors. Yvonne's BMW 520Li was parked against the wall in the courtyard, a particularly conspicuous sight, casting a halo of prestige over the Wang family home. Previously, the Wang family's financial situation had been merely adequate. Her uncle, who was in business, had been better off. But now, Yvonne's family had surpassed them. The Wang family had produced a graduate from a top university who was now a senior executive at a major corporation. Her name was known for miles around. "Sis, how many people do you manage now?" her cousin, who had just returned, asked. "100 or so, I guess," Yvonne smiled. This question had been asked at least 5 times. The number of people one managed had become the standard for defining power, though, in reality, her authority far exceeded that number. "Wow, that many!" her cousin exclaimed in awe, her curiosity piqued. "So, sis, are you liking the TV shows, drinking coffee in your office every day?" "Pretty much. I usually drink jasmine tea, though." Yvonne thought of the glass teapot she used for brewing her tea. She had wanted to bring it back with her. The jasmine tea was a high-quality blend that Jasmine had bought specifically for her. It was exceptionally fragrant. Thinking of the tea made her think of Jasmine, and thinking of Jasmine naturally led her to think of that cold-eyed man. Yvonne felt an inexplicable itch on her rear end. This New Year's was dragging on. She wondered if that man ever thought of her. Probably not. After all, the other 3 vice presidents were all with him. Returning home in glory was fun, but the novelty wore off in less than half a day. What was left was boredom. Being with her family was nice, of course, but goading a certain man into spanking her seemed far more enjoyable. Last night, she had dreamed of him again, and of that whip. Unfortunately, before he could even use it, her sister had pulled the covers off, and she had woken up cold. The sound of a car horn came from outside the courtyard. A Toyota pulled up to the gate. 3 young men got out, Yvonne's classmates from middle school. They had all started working. Yvonne quickly stood up to greet them, seeing their old classmate, who used to have slightly bleached hair, now radiant and dressed in designer clothes. The 3 men were stunned. The suave demeanor they had practiced instantly crumbled. The witty remarks they had prepared were crushed under the weight of their own inadequacy. They had heard that the highly successful Yvonne Wang had returned home and decided to drop by. Maybe, just maybe, they'd hit it off. But now, the complexity of their feelings was known only to them. An old classmate was still an old classmate, but her gaze was different. The shyness she once had when receiving a note, the feisty way she'd thrown a crumpled paper ball back, it was all gone. All that remained was a calm composure beneath her warm greeting. It was as if a chasm had opened up between them. The 3 men feigned a casual air as they joined the circle of young people. Soon, the sound of a motorcycle horn echoed from outside. 4 more guys and 3 girls arrived. Unsurprisingly, the 4 guys went from swaggering to reserved in an instant, as if they had suddenly matured. The girls were a bit better, but their eyes couldn't hide their envy and a touch of insecurity. With more people, the living room became crowded. The young people decided to move to the spacious courtyard. The guys brought out straw and dry wood, placed it in a broken iron pot, and lit a fire. Yvonne, seasoned by countless business negotiations and dealings with executives from major internet companies, handled the situation with ease. She was generous and didn't neglect anyone. They were old classmates, and she wasn't one to put on airs. She even made a special effort to be extra attentive to the female classmates she had always been close with. Before long, she had warmed up the slightly chilly atmosphere. Suddenly, a slightly chubby female classmate asked, "Yvonne, why didn't you bring your boyfriend back with you?" Everyone looked at Yvonne, clearly interested in the answer. The guys, in particular, had a look of expectation in their eyes that was almost palpable. It was a different kind of expectation. "How can I bring a boyfriend if I don't have one?" Yvonne said, taking a sip from her thermos. She had thought no one would ask, but they did. "No way. How could you not have a boyfriend? The line of guys chasing you must be a mile long," the girl said, unconvinced. "I want one, but I don't have one," Yvonne said, gazing up at the sky, her thoughts drifting far away. "Is it because your standards are too high?" Another female classmate with short hair joked. "A little bit, yeah," Yvonne admitted. "How could they not be high? There was only one of him in the whole world." When several of the guys heard, "I want one, but I don't have one," their eyes lit up. "She wants to be in a relationship. Doesn't that mean I have a shot?" A six-figure salary awaited. If they won her over, they wouldn't have to struggle anymore. But the thought collapsed as quickly as it had formed. They lacked the confidence. "Yvonne, I saw that video at the internet cafe the other day. Was that you in it?" A male classmate with a center-part hairstyle asked. "The one from the annual meeting?" Yvonne looked at him. There were a lot of videos online. She wasn't sure which one he meant. "Yeah, the one where you were dancing at the annual meeting." The guy's eyes flickered, and he added, as if offering friendly advice, "You should probably dance less like that. It's a bit. You know what?" Yvonne smiled. "It's just, what's the word? Oh, too suggestive." Someone even shared it in our class group chat. Everyone was saying it was too suggestive. The guy seemed anxious to distance himself from the criticism, quickly adding, "You've been offline, so you probably didn't see it. I just wanted to let you know." "Oh, it's fine if they share it. The video was released for people to see," Yvonne replied calmly. Her nonchalant reaction caused several of the classmates to look at her strangely. "We're telling you the dance was suggestive, and you don't seem to feel anything?" When they had seen that video and confirmed that one of the dancers was Yvonne, more than half the guys in the class chat had felt a bitter mix of jealousy and frustration. The most beautiful girl in their class, getting patted on the butt by some guy, dancing so intimately with him. The feeling was like eating a raw bitter melon. "Yvonne, a few of them have nasty mouths. They said you." The chubby female classmate began, her eyes shifting, leaving the sentence unfinished. "Said I'm a sugar baby for some rich young master. His mistress?" Yvonne's lips curled into a slight smile. Several classmates exchanged glances. They weren't surprised by Yvonne's directness. That was just who she was. She'd even cursed people out in the street. Their silence was an admission. They heard Yvonne laugh dismissively. "I wish I could be a sugar baby, but he's not interested. Pisses me off." "Yvonne, are you being serious, or are you joking? I can't even tell anymore." A male classmate with a buzz cut had a look on his face like his entire worldview was collapsing. In his memory, Yvonne was indeed frank, but she was also proud. She had never spoken like this before. The others, including her relatives and neighbors, both men and women, all stared at Yvonne. They all thought they knew her to some extent, but this statement shocked them. Even her own brother and sister were stunned. "Huh, I'm serious." Yvonne beamed. "You don't believe me? Don't talk nonsense," her older brother said, annoyed. "It won't sound good if people hear." "Yeah, sis, the old folks at both ends of the village could spread that rumor for 20 miles, her younger sister protested. "Cousin, you're doing well for yourself now. You can find anyone you want. Why would you need to settle like that?" her male cousin asked, confused. The eyes of the neighbors and classmates were all filled with bewilderment. Had Yvonne lost her mind? Or was she really climbing the ladder by latching onto that playboy? But she had just said she wanted to but couldn't, and there were 3 other beautiful girls in that dance. This only made them more confused. Yvonne scanned the crowd and laughed again. "I'm not talking nonsense. It's true." As if afraid they wouldn't believe her, she raised her hand. "I, Yvonne Wong, swear that if I can become his sugar baby, I'll treat you all to a 3-day feast. All the lamb noodle soup you can eat." "Huh?" The group of young people huddled around the fire stared, mouths agape. "Holy shit. Is this the same proud, head in the clouds, Yvonne we know?" Yes and no. She clearly wasn't afraid of the village gossips at all. The male classmates' minds were a churning mess. They felt like their image of a goddess had shattered. It was truly heartbreaking. This was a fall from grace. How could you do this, Yvonne? Accompanying the heartache was a deep-seated jealousy. If only I were that man. The chubby female classmate and another girl, however, felt a sliver of satisfaction. Yvonne was a gold digger. Her reputation was surely ruined. This made their own unbalanced feelings a little better. They were so much more noble than Yvonne. Paradoxically, they also felt a twinge of envy. If they could, they would love to have such an opportunity. Only the short-haired female classmate, who was good friends with Yvonne, burst out laughing. Yvonne, are you really serious? The center part guy asked, clinging to a final sliver of hope. Couldn't be more serious. Truer than true gold, Yvonne said with a smiling nod. Sis, are you delirious? Her older brother secretly winked at her, telling her to stop. Nope, I'm wide awake. Yvonne took another sip from her thermos, waving away the smoke from the burning wood. The guys seemed to have lost their interest in chatting. After sitting for a while longer, they made excuses about having things to do at home and left. Of the female classmates, only the short-haired girl remained, curiously asking about her work. The afternoon at the Wong house was lively, but Yvonne was getting annoyed. Yvonne's mom, this young man, is a rare find. He looks honest and reliable. Everyone in town knows he's a good son. He'll definitely be good to you too in the future. He's even willing to marry into the family, an older woman said, holding Yvonne's mother's hand, a gold tooth glinting in her smile. Another woman grabbed Yvonne's mother's other hand. Yvonne's mom, don't listen to her. She's just trying to take advantage. My guy is different. He has a house in the city. No car for now, but that's not a problem, right? Yvonne has one. He's an only son, just 3 years older than Yvonne. Not bad looking. Several older women and aunts clung to Yvonne's mother, refusing to let go. She couldn't even pull her hands free. Then the woman holding her left hand added, Yvonne's mom, Yvonne isn't young anymore. If she stays single any longer, she'll be past her prime, childbearing years. This is a woman's most important duty. This is the perfect age. You could be holding a grandchild soon. This filial boy of mine is the most suitable for Yvonne. What are you talking about, Chuanxing's wife? What past her prime? Did you grow your mouth on sideways? Yvonne's mom, don't listen to her. That gold tooth has blinded her. My guy is definitely a good catch. Just meet him once. Oh no, that won't do. My girl is a senior executive at a big company now, Yvonne's mother said with a look of disdain. Introductions were fine, but this was out of the question. Just then, Yvonne walked into the courtyard with a broom. She swept vigorously a few times, kicking up a cloud of dust. Then she leaned on the broom and said coldly, What are you doing? What are you all doing? Have you no shame? Annie Hua, what have I ever done to you? Do you have a grudge against me? Grandma Luo, you're an old woman. Can't you go mind your own business? Are you trying to force me to lose my temper? What kind of fantasy are you living in? Huh. You child, we're just trying to be helpful, Annie Hua grumbled, covering her mouth and nose as she backed away. That's right. We were talking to your mother. You have no respect, child. Several of the other women chimed in, disgruntled. Go. Yvonne said, her face a mask of impatience, words firing like a machine gun. She swung the broom, sweeping furiously, sending dust and small pebbles flying towards them. The word get out remained unspoken. They were all neighbors from the same village. She couldn't completely burn the bridge. This was how it was in the countryside. Matchmaking was a primary social activity. If a family had a daughter of marriageable age, several matchmakers would inevitably show up at their door, unless the girl never came back. Yvonne's parents didn't dare stop her, and could only try to smooth things over from the side. Yvonne, honey, calm down. We'll stop. Their daughter was no longer someone they could scold at will. She was the pillar of the family now. The futures of her older brother and younger sister depended on her. After shooing away the meddling women, Yvonne tossed the broom aside. She glared at her parents. This is the last time. If this happens again, I'm not coming back for New Year's. It won't. Honey, we promise, it won't happen again, her mother said, waving her hands, her expression an awkward mix of apology and appeasement. I told them not to come, but your mother couldn't bring herself to be rude. Her father coughed, slyly shifting the blame. Yvonne sighed in frustration. They were her parents. What could she say? See, I told you she'd be angry. Her younger sister snickered, a look of schadenfreude on her face. Her older brother clicked his tongue. I told you not to worry about it. As if she'll have trouble finding someone? She said she wants to marry a big boss. What? Honey, is what your brother said true? Her mother asked, her face a picture of surprise. But the surprise seemed complicated, a flicker of joy hidden in her eyes. A sugar baby. I said I want to be a sugar baby. Yvonne rolled her eyes to the heavens. Sugar baby? What does that mean? Her mother didn't understand at first. Sis means she wants to be a big boss's sugar baby, her younger sister laughed. What? Don't talk nonsense. That sounds awful. You're making hundreds of thousands a year. Why would you need to be a sugar baby for some big boss? Her mother said, getting anxious. She's already told everyone. All her classmates heard her. Her younger sister cackled. Her father smacked the back of her head. You're a girl. Stop laughing like a duck. It's ugly. Can't you learn from your sister? I'm learning from her. The younger sister protested indignantly. Yvonne suddenly felt listless. She trudged back into the house, picked up her phone, and checked it. No new messages. No one was talking in the management group chat. She looked up and saw Big Yellow, the family dog, wander into the courtyard. She beckoned to him. Big Yellow, come here. Click, click. 2 quick photos. She posted them in the group chat. Check out my Big Yellow. Handsome, right? Handsome. Even VP Wong's dog is so majestic. Big Yellow, great name. There were many replies, and it managed to liven up the chat. But the one person she wanted to hear from was silent. Even the vice president of legal, Serena Shun, had replied. Not seeing what she wanted, Yvonne felt a wave of disappointment. Her mind was filled with him. That night, she couldn't fall asleep until very late. In a daze, she heard her sister complain, Sis, what are you doing? You're on your stomach like Big Yellow stretching. How can you sleep like that? You've kicked all the covers up. What? Yvonne woke with a start, immediately realizing her awkward position. She was mortified and also a little annoyed at being interrupted. She mumbled, Oh, I was dreaming I was looking for something. Under her sister's strange gaze, she lay down properly again. The dream she had just been having replayed in her mind. A tremor ran through her body. She opened her eyes, then closed them again. She turned on her side, bending one leg. She imagined that man was right there, on the other side of the bed. A long time later, she let out a soft sigh. A sense of relaxation washed over her as she drifted into a peaceful sleep. In Linden Creek, Cole's New Year's Eve was a happy one. He set off a ton of fireworks with his 2 little babies, attracting a crowd of neighborhood kids. Even the usually elegant Jasmine was laughing heartily. A smile never left Luna's face. Aside from feeling a little guilty when facing John and Mary Yong, everything was perfect. No, almost perfect. Serena wasn't there. He suspected she would have loved the fireworks the most. Cole looked up at the colorful explosions lighting up the night sky. He wondered if Serena could see them. At the district apartments, Serena was leaning against her bedroom window, gazing up at the sky over the millworks, at the brilliant flowers of light blooming in the darkness. It had to be Cole setting them off, she thought, and Jasmine and Luna would be with him. They must be so happy. Is Cole thinking of me? He must be. The dazzling night sky was reflected in Serena's pupils. She couldn't help but imagine a happy scene of herself and Cole setting off fireworks together. The corners of her lips turned up unconsciously. In the living room, David and Helen Shun were watching the New Year's Eve TV special. It was the first one without a certain iconic comedian, and the sketches made David let out a few awkward laughs that sounded more like gasps. Helen was chatting with friends and classmates on her phone, occasionally glancing at her husband, who seemed to be torn between amusement and disdain. But David's mind wasn't on the show. For the 13th time, he glanced at his daughter's closed bedroom door. A heavy weight settled on his heart. His daughter had hidden herself away since early morning, even refusing her New Year's cash gift. As the clock struck midnight, David wondered if his daughter was asleep. If not, he wanted to wish her a Happy New Year. Just as he was hesitating, the door suddenly opened. Dad, Happy New Year. Oh, Happy New Year, sweetie. David was so overjoyed, he was practically trembling. For the first time, he felt completely at a loss. He stood up, fumbled in his pocket for the slightly crumpled envelope of cash, and took a few large steps toward her, saying again, Happy New Year. Thanks, Dad. Serena smiled as she took the envelope, then gave her father a gentle hug. Yes. Good, good, good. David didn't know why he was saying good so many times, or what he was agreeing to. He was incredibly emotional. It was just like the first time he had seen his daughter in the delivery room. His eyes stung, and he fought back the tears. He gently patted her head and whispered, Go say it to your mom. Okay, I know, Dad. Serena nodded. She walked over to her mother, who was pretending to watch TV. Mom, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, sweetie. Helen smiled warmly, handing over the envelope she had prepared. Only then did her mood finally improve. The past few days, unable to communicate with her daughter, had been miserable. Well, it was New Year's. She would put those things aside. Thanks, Mom. Serena took the envelope, sighing inwardly. She couldn't bear for the cold atmosphere at home to continue. Her rational side reminded her that this was what a daughter should do. But being magnanimous was one thing. On matters where she wouldn't compromise, she would stand her ground. David saw this, and his heart was filled with relief. His daughter had always been so considerate, so sensible. He understood that this was her compromise. It was a sacrifice of responsibility. It was a sign of her growing up. David thought of Cole again. If he treated his daughter well, it wouldn't be impossible for them to be together. But if he was a philanderer, then absolutely not. Dad, Mom, I'm going back to my room to sleep now, Serena said with a sweet smile. Okay, good. Go ahead. Her parents quickly nodded. Serena went back to her room and closed the door, but she didn't go to sleep. She leaned against the window again. Fireworks were still exploding over the millworks. I want to be there so badly. I miss my Cole so much. Cole's phone buzzed incessantly with congratulatory messages. He sent out his own well wishes in the company group chats and replied to private messages from his managers and executives. Facebook Messenger at this time didn't have a feature for sending group cash gifts, so words would have to suffice. New Year's Day in Linden Creek was busy. It was a time for visiting family. Younger siblings would go to their older siblings' homes, and children who had moved out would visit their parents. This year was slightly different. Jasmine didn't go to her uncle's house. Instead, she stayed with Cole. Luna, naturally, did the same. The whole family went to a relative's house in the next county. The reception from their relatives was incredibly grand. Firecrackers went off for a full 10 minutes. The news spread like wildfire. The multi-millionaire from the Chun family had come to visit. Neighbors from all over ran to have a look, to see what a multi-millionaire looked like, to see if he had 3 legs. Cole's cousins were extremely reserved, the former intimacy between them gone. Even his second uncle spoke cautiously. During lunch, the top officials from the local town government actually came to pay a visit. And on New Year's Day, no less. The town mayor, council members, department heads, they all came. The courtyard outside was filled with people. Watching her son handle the situation with ease, while the group of normally proud old officials smiled obsequiously, Helen and Don Shun were filled with 100 different emotions. When the Linden Creek officials had visited the other day, it hadn't felt so profound. It had just been a matter of pride. Only now did they truly grasp the extent of their son's power. Even the gentle and seemingly weak Luna was poised and graceful. And their goddaughter, Jasmine, was even more impressive, carrying herself with the dignity of an empress. Cole's second uncle's family was ecstatic, feeling an immense sense of honor. Their nephew, with his vast fortune, had personally come to visit them. It was a huge boost to their prestige. In the ancient capital of Luoyang, in a rural township, Yvonne Wang's house and courtyard were packed with people, all there for New Year's greetings. Some played cards, others made dumplings. The Wang family hadn't prepared for so many visitors. Yvonne had no choice but to drive out and buy more supplies. She handed out one red envelope after another. There were a lot of kids. She put $10 in each one, no more. Technically, since she wasn't married, she didn't have to give any. But given her status, it would be rude not to make a gesture. It would only lead to gossip. After greeting everyone, the men and women separated. The men smoked and played cards, while the women gathered to chat, make dumplings, and prepare food. Yvonne was in the women's group. Yvonne, I hear you're going to marry a big boss. An aunt said, her eyes narrowed in a smile. That's right. Yvonne chuckled. She knew this story would get out. She might as well admit it freely. At least they were being polite, not using the term sugar baby. Is it your boss? How old is he? Is he still in good health? Is his original wife dead? Another aunt from the same village asked excitedly. Don't you know the law? Of course she's dead. Otherwise, how could he remarry? Another woman chimed in. The aunts and other women started chattering all at once. Dead or not, what does it matter? Rich men have lots of women. Yvonne, you still need to be careful. You should at least get a big mansion, you know? Don't let yourself be taken advantage of. One mansion isn't enough. You need at least 3. All of that is useless. The way I see it, you need to have an official title, have a baby, then you'll be set. Yvonne, is your boss's first wife formidable? Do you need any help? She's very formidable. I'm no match for her, Yvonne said with a smile, quietly observing the eyes filled with envy and jealousy. She would occasionally add a comment to fuel the fire. It was normal for stories to change as they were passed around. A boss becoming a rich old man was a version that fit most people's imagination. When women gathered, it was all about gossip. It was the same everywhere. The more she denied it, the more outlandish the rumors would become. It was better to play along. It might even cool things down. Not all the women were like this. A few were more reserved. Yvonne's mother didn't look pleased, but her daughter had warned her not to interfere, so she held her tongue. Yvonne's younger sister couldn't take it. She interjected, "He's not an old man. He's a super handsome guy." "What are you talking about? He's an old man." Yvonne cut her sister off. People were like that. The more you insisted on something, the less they believed you. If she had also said he was handsome, they would have been even more convinced he was an old man, thinking she was just trying to save face. An aunt said sourly, "What's so bad about an old man? As long as you live a good life, it's all the same." "Exactly," the other aunts chimed in, their eyes glinting. A seed of doubt had been planted. "Please don't let him be handsome. That would be too much to bear." Yvonne got up to use the bathroom. This was the worst part about coming home. The outhouse was outside. For safety, she had her younger sister stand guard. Just as she came out, she saw Auntie Ma from the end of the village waiting for her daughter, Lien, standing beside her. "Yvonne, dear, can I ask you something?" Auntie Ma sidled up, a mysterious look on her face. "Sure, go ahead," Yvonne said, washing her hands at the outdoor faucet. "Well, Yvonne, I heard you say the old man's first wife is very formidable. You can't do it without help. You should take Lien with you," Auntie Ma said with concern. She pulled her daughter forward, giving her a pointed look. "Lien, from now on, you follow your sister Yvonne." "Okay," Lien said, covering her round face with her hands, giggling shyly. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Auntie Ma, why are you so worried about my business?" Yvonne said, exasperated. She couldn't believe it had come to this. She had truly underestimated these old women. "I'm worried about you being all alone. Without help, that first wife will bully you to death," Auntie Ma said. Her face wrinkled with a "this is for your own good" expression. "Auntie Ma, I appreciate your concern, but the help I need has to be highly educated. Lien won't do." "Anyway, let's not talk about it," Yvonne said with a smile. She was just tired. Coming home was exhausting. She couldn't refuse directly, or she'd create resentment. The older generation had very little education. This was their way of thinking. She had to handle it delicately. "How high?" Auntie Ma asked urgently. "A bachelor's degree," Yvonne said, not lying. "A master's degree could get you an interview at the company." "Oh, that high?" Auntie Ma sighed. She had taken her seriously, and it seemed reasonable. Beside her, Lien looked disappointed. Auntie Ma led her daughter away. As they rounded the corner, they ran into Auntie Lou from the other end of the village, who had also brought her daughter, Ingzi. They exchanged an awkward smile and passed each other. Another round of questions. "Yvonne, do you need help?" Ingzi is a good girl, mature and experienced. A bachelor's degree is required. 15 minutes later, after dealing with the last wave, Yvonne was still standing by the outhouse. It was a pit toilet. The smell was unimaginable. Her younger sister was doubled over with laughter. "Yvonne, you need help?" she mimicked. "Help my ass." Back in the courtyard, the aunts were all a little nervous, afraid Yvonne would be tactless and expose them. But Yvonne's expression was unchanged, as if nothing had happened. This put them at ease. At the Linden Creek District Apartments, aside from mealtimes, Serena spent all her time in her room. A constant stream of visitors came to the house to pay their New Year's respects, all of them heads of various local departments. Tomorrow was the second day of the new year, and by rights, she should go to her grandfather Sean's house to pay her respects, but she didn't want to. Yet she knew it would be wrong not to go. It was a real dilemma. Then on the third day, she had to fly directly from the state capital to Boston to visit her maternal grandfather. It was so exhausting. Serena thought to herself, Jasmine and Luna must be so happy. After dinner, just as Serena was about to go back to her room, she heard her father say, "Serena, you'll go to your grandfather's on the 3rd, and on the 4th you can fly back here. After that, you're free to do whatever you want. How does that sound?" "Really, Dad?" Serena's face lit up. She didn't have to stay for so long. She would be free on the 4th. She just didn't know if Cole would come and pick her up. If he didn't, she would be angry. Helen Shun coughed. "Is one day enough? Can't you come back with us?" "One day is fine. She's on break. Let her rest," David Shin said. He was intentionally creating some distance between his daughter and his wife's family. Not to sever ties, but to reduce her reliance on them. Or rather, to erase the impression that she couldn't be without them. Slowly, she could go if she wanted to, and not go if she didn't. The scene at the hospital was still a dark cloud in his mind. When it came to his daughter's affairs, he had become a bystander, and the more he thought about it, the more it upset him. Just one day, grandfather will be so sad. Helen was not pleased. She knew her daughter wouldn't be staying at home alone. She really didn't know what her husband was thinking. "Mom, I want to rest during my break. To be honest, I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to stay home," Serena said, her voice soft but firm. "Yes, rest up during your break. Going to Boston is unavoidable. You have to pay your respects to your grandfather," David said with a supportive smile. Although Helen was reluctant, she couldn't say anything more at that moment. She didn't want to provoke her daughter. If she refused to go on the third, it would be a real problem. But she was unhappy with her husband's indulgence. On the second day of the new year, Serena's family went to the state capitol. Meanwhile, Cole's house was bustling. Relatives from far and wide had come. The house was packed with young and old. The Yang's apartment was also taken over, set up with borrowed mahjong tables. Cole was on the Yang's side of the apartment. Cole, you should buy your parents a house. This one is old and doesn't suit your status, a maternal uncle said. No need, no need. We're used to living here. We can talk about it later, Helen said, waving her hand as she brought out sunflower seeds and peanuts. If they moved to a high-rise with an elevator, there would be nowhere to play mahjong. It's up to them, Cole smiled. An uncle he had barely ever met asked, Cole, is your company hiring? Your cousin is idle right now. I'm worried he'll just fool around. The noisy chatter of the mahjong game in the room suddenly quieted. We are hiring, Cole began. The uncle's spirits lifted. Then you should take your cousin. It's your own company. You can trust your own people. Yes, that's right, another uncle chimed in. Exactly. No matter what, we're family. Others are outsiders. The company is so big, you need to keep a close eye on things, the first uncle agreed. Huh, we are hiring, but it's not my call, Cole laughed loudly. You're the boss, and it's not your call? Are you kidding? The uncle said, surprised and disbelieving. We all have our roles. The department heads make the decisions. Sister, what are the hiring standards for our company again? Cole stretched his neck, pretending to ask Jasmine, who was sitting in the living room. A bachelor's degree is the minimum. It depends on which job their major is suited for, Jasmine replied coolly and loudly. The room grew even quieter. Only the soft click of mahjong tiles on the table could be heard. A bachelor's degree? The uncle's mouth hung open, a look of disbelief and reluctance on his face. Yes, that's the minimum. Otherwise, some things are just too hard to grasp, Cole said with a look of helplessness. From the very beginning, Headline Today had hired from the student population. The default standard was already high. Many were specialists in their fields. The research center was full of graduate students, not to mention 2 professors who serve as part-time consultants. The VP of R&D, Wyatt, was a Ph.D. candidate who had practically studied his hair off. His advisor was one of the consultants. The only position with relaxed educational requirements was the front desk, but that was filled by part-time students. Then there were the cleaning staff, but that was monopolized by the school cafeteria ladies. 3 of them had nearly gotten into a fight over the job. An uncle leaned in and whispered, Cole, can't you be a little more flexible with the requirements? He can learn on the job. It's better to have your own people you can trust. Yes, the rules shouldn't be so rigid. The other uncles nodded. Although they spoke quietly, their words were audible throughout the room. Everyone's ears perked up. It has to be rigid. The company needs professionals. There's nothing I can do, Cole sighed, looking troubled. The relatives looked displeased, but they couldn't say anything more. The first uncle gestured with his chin towards Jasmine. Cole, your dad only has you. When did you get a sister? I've had one since I was a kid. You just don't visit often, so you wouldn't know, Cole smiled. Most of the distant relatives didn't know about the relationship between the Chun and Yang families. Oh, I thought she was your girlfriend, the uncle said. She is, Cole said quietly. Oh, the uncle was taken aback. The first uncle then pointed at Luna. What about that one? Her too. Cole grinned, whispering, Oh. The uncle nodded instinctively, then his eyes widened. The uncles sitting at the table were stunned. Didn't you just say that the other one was? One uncle asked in a low, confused voice. I did, Cole nodded brazenly. It was better to stir the pot himself, admitting it was more effective than letting people guess. The more he denied it, the more they would spread rumors. Hiss! A collective gasp went through the group. Their expressions were complex, a mix of jealousy and envy. On second thought, it seemed normal. Their nephew was so young, so rich. What was wrong with having 2 girlfriends? Their only complaint was that he wouldn't even hire his own relatives. It felt too distant. In the living room, are the requirements really that high? An aunt asked Jasmine. Yes, Jasmine nodded. What do you do there? Another aunt asked curiously. I manage people. Oh, and who manages the money? Her. Jasmine patted Luna's hand beside her. Everyone in the room looked at Luna. 2 great beauties, one managing people, one managing money. TSK, TSK. Several of the aunts and uncles made an excuse to go see what was happening on the other side and left the Yang's apartment. When they got to the Chins, they pulled Helen into the kitchen and closed the door. Helen, can't you talk to Cole about getting his cousin a job in the company? Yes, Helen, we're all family. What boss doesn't use his own people? Helen Chun listened in silence. When they were finished, she sighed. AI, it's not my decision to make. Cole doesn't listen to me. She knew what her relatives wanted, but she also knew her son would never agree. You're his mother. How could he not listen to you? That's right. Trusting outsiders over his own family. Those two girls are pretty, but they're still outsiders. How can they be in charge? And money, such an important thing, is in an outsider's hands too. That's not safe at all. Exactly, cousin. I hear it's billions. Are you really okay with that? The women tried to persuade her, one after another. Helen Chun just shook her head, her face a mask of misery. I really can't do anything. He's grown up now. He won't listen to me. You should go talk to him. She knew exactly what was happening. Her son must have refused them, so now they were coming to her. Even if she could influence her son, she wouldn't. The women looked disappointed, even a little resentful. Helen sighed inwardly. After this, she feared she wouldn't be able to face some of her relatives anymore. Don Chun, who was with the elders, was also being bombarded with questions. Everyone wanted their kids to get a job at Cole's company. Don could only shake his head, at most offering them a job as a worker at Spicy Mama's. None of the relatives were interested. Lunch was held at a nearby restaurant that was still open. There were simply too many people. After the meal, the relatives didn't linger. They left in low spirits. Their objective hadn't been achieved. It had been a wasted trip. It's going to be difficult to get along with them from now on, Don Chun said with a bitter smile. It can't be helped. There will be more of this in the future, Cole said helplessly. This was an inevitable consequence of wealth. He absolutely could not randomly place people in headline today. Once he opened that door, it would never close. He would have to place everyone, and leaving even one person out would create a mortal enemy. But if they met the requirements, that was a different story. He wasn't against hiring qualified relatives. But his cousins weren't willing to work at the Spicy Mama's factory. They clearly had high aspirations, but lacked the skills. This made it even more important to keep them out. From now on, I'll be the bad guy, Cole said with a faint smile. He figured it wouldn't be long before people started asking to borrow money. It was unavoidable. His parents had soft hearts. They would surely lend it. If it was for a medical emergency, so be it. But for any other reason, he would have to block it. Otherwise, it would never stop. There was no right or wrong, just human nature. The next day, the 3rd of the new year, was just as busy for Cole. Jasmine's relatives from Ohio had arrived. This time, they weren't trying to set him up with someone, but rather to get to know him. They were Jasmine's relatives, after all, so Cole had to show them respect. But John Young had given him instructions beforehand. Don't agree to anything, just do what you have to do. Unsurprisingly, at the dinner table, the Ohio Yangs proposed investing in his company. The European debt crisis had reduced foreign trade demand, and their business was suffering. Seeing that Jasmine was a senior executive at Headline Today and Cole's partner, they wanted to get on the fast track. Cole politely refused. The Ohio Yangs then tried to invest in Spicy Mama's, but were immediately shut down by John Young. After a strained meal, the Ohio Yangs left. They had come all this way, only to leave after one meal. Needless to say, another set of relatives had been offended. Cole understood that it would be difficult for him to come back for New Year's in the future. He would have to take his parents with him to celebrate elsewhere. Moving wasn't necessary. If they moved to a gated community, they would never see anyone, and his parents would probably get depressed. He could only consider it after he had children. On the afternoon of the 4th, Cole drove alone to the state capital's airport. He was picking up Serena. A short while later, Serena appeared at the entrance of Terminal 2, pushing a suitcase. Cole smiled and waved. Cole! Serena squealed with delight, hopping on one foot. She let go of her suitcase and ran towards him. From 2 meters away, she launched herself into the air, arms outstretched. She landed solidly in Cole's waiting arms, wrapping her arms around his neck and swinging her legs happily. Cole, I missed you so much. Did you miss your baby? Of course I did. I missed you like crazy, Cole said, supporting her bottom with his hands and rubbing his nose against hers. These past few days have been torture, Serena said sweetly. I couldn't even go out. I had a tough time too, dealing with so many people every day. The passionate embrace of the handsome young couple attracted many envious glances. Serena didn't care, refusing to come down. They held each other for a long time. Only when the cold wind made her hands numb did she reluctantly let go. Cole put her luggage in the trunk. The moment he sat in the driver's seat, a pair of icy hands pressed against his face. Cole, my hands are cold. Come here. Let's warm them up. Cole unzipped his down jacket, lifted up his thermal shirt, and let her press her cold hands against his skin. The icy shock didn't make him flinch. Cole, you're the best. Serena leaned over and buried her head in his chest. After a moment, she looked up, her eyes like pools of water. Cole read her mind and kissed her deeply. Their lips met, meshed, twisted, and intertwined. The strength of their kiss matched the strength of their longing. 5 minutes later, they finally separated. Her sweet lips were red from the kiss. Cole, I didn't bring my key. I can't get into my apartment. What do I do? Serena bit her lower lip, swaying her body coquettishly. What do you mean? Everyone at home is waiting for you, Cole said with a grin. A joyful light ignited in Serena's eyes. Her Cole had said home again. She was so happy, but the thought of meeting his parents immediately made her nervous again. I'm a little scared. Don't be scared. You're my baby after all. Cole stroked her hair and kissed her forehead. Okay, baby brought gifts for Uncle and Annie, Serena beamed. Is there one for me? There is. You're kissing it right now. Then I'll have to kiss it a few more times. The drive back to Linden Creek took another 2 hours. While Serena was nervous, inside the apartment, Helen and Don Shun were also on edge. Last night, their son had told them there was another one, and that she was the daughter of Rockford's most powerful official. The couple had been stunned. Was their son insane? What would they do now? Their first reaction was trouble. Jasmine's position might be threatened. But what truly amazed them was that Jasmine already knew. This was actually a good thing. It would prevent any fighting and drama. Only then did Don Shin understand why the Rockford official had said so much to him at the factory that day. It turned out his own son had run off with his daughter. It was terrifying. Knock, knock, knock. The sound made the couple's hearts jump. They stood side by side, composing themselves, waiting for her to come in. Luna opened the door. Luna, Serena, Jasmine. The three girls were overjoyed to see each other. Cole, the shameless Chun, was deeply gratified, though he earned a sharp glare from his father. Happy New Year, Uncle. Happy New Year, Annie. Serena smiled sweetly and bowed to Helen and Dawn. Hello, Serena. Please sit. Helen and Dawn nodded quickly, forcing smiles. This was the top official's daughter. It was hard for them to treat her normally. Thank you, Andy. Uncle, Annie, I brought you gifts. Hearing them call her by her name made Serena especially happy. She quickly opened her suitcase and started taking out presents. It was her first time meeting the parents. She had to make a good impression. That afternoon, Helen and Don Shin's minds were in a constant state of turmoil. They were both resentful and impressed with their son. How did he manage it? But there couldn't be any more. If there were, their hearts wouldn't be able to take it. The guilt they felt towards the Yang family was already hard enough to bear. Now, there was another one. No, they had to be extra good to Jasmine. Even better than before. Mom, you guys go play cards. I'll cook dinner tonight, Cole said, giving his mother a meaningful look. He hadn't dared to tell them that Serena was also from the powerful He family in Boston. He was afraid his parents wouldn't be able to handle it. He'd tell them later. All right, you and your father can cook, Helen agreed. She needed to chat with the three girls to get a feel for their relationship, to see if there were any tensions that needed easing. The shock was just too great. But since things had come to this, they could only push forward. Just then, there was another knock on the door. Knock, knock, knock. It was probably a relative or a neighbor. Cole was closest, so he opened the door. Mr. Chun, I've come to wish you a happy new year. Hello, Ms. Young, Ms. Shun, Ms. and Happy New Year. Standing at the door was a radiant Yvonne Wong, looking slightly weary after her long journey. Seeing the sudden arrival of the beautiful girl, Helen Chin's mind went blank. This can't be another one, can it? Oh my God, I'm going to have a heart attack.